victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
What's up, everybody, on a Friday afternoon? Yes, it is afternoon. Great, we made it through another week. America's still standing. Everybody's doing well. I hope you guys are doing well. And I want to thank you. I want to take 1 minute right off the bat here and say thank you. Those of you guys may know there was a plane crash here in Boca Raton at the Executive Private Airport this morning, which is not too far away from us. We could actually hear the sirens. You can see the smoke. And a couple people died in that plane crash this morning. Awful, absolutely awful. Not sure what's going on with our aviation system, but I don't know if it's a grand conspiracy. I understand from people on the ground over there that the pilot couldn't use his rudder right after takeoff. The rudder wasn't working, so it was mechanical difficulties. No grand conspiracy, not DEI. Something broke on the plane. So as we're driving into downtown, you go right past the airport. FAU, Florida Atlantic University, sits adjacent to the airport. There's really there's no residences close to the airport. It's got a pretty good buffer, but obviously a plane coming in or going out is going to fly over some neighborhoods. Got lucky in terms of that regard, and lucky, I'm only saying that because this could have been much worse. FAU is literally right next to campus, and these kids are all right there. Any one of these dorms or something could have been hit by the stroke of God, blessing of God. Nobody in the school, no buildings were hit, no homes were hit. Unfortunately, I think it's 3 or 4 people on the plane had passed. At this point, this is all the video they have. It's only like a 20-second loop. You can see where it went down. Everything that you see burned out there is frontage road. There's no homes against that road. Where this video is being taken is on the other side of the street from an office building. So the office building wasn't hit. You can see there's a bridge. It's more like an overpass. It's not really a bridge that the traffic is going under. That's the frontage road of the airport right here in Boca. It's a small executive airport, not the big 747s and stuff don't go there. This is where all the big wig gazillionaires that live down here in Boca. This is where this is where they land when they come into town. You can see when it scans the billboard also for the highway. So it sits to the, how could I say this? It sits to the east of I-95, just east of I-95. I-95 is here, I mean like right here, and the airport sits right to the east of I-95. It sits to the north of the FAU campus, and it sits east, probably, I'd say from where we are, probably a couple miles east of where we are. So it's almost in downtown Boca Raton, but not quite. And just wanted to let you know that, because I can't believe how many texts and emails and calls are like, hey, you guys okay? You guys? Yes, we're okay. We're okay. Everything is good here. I just feel bad for those people who unfortunately lost their lives this morning. And again, it could have been, as often is said, it could have been a whole lot worse. So in any event, keep those people and those families in your prayer. It could have been pretty bad. It says I-95 is currently shut down there. I would imagine they would have to shut down I-95 because, like I said, it is right there. You have the highway, you have the shoulder, and then you have the airport. It's right there. So, as well as, it's weird. So is Fort Lauderdale's major airport is right. If you look at an overhead of the Fort Lauderdale airport, the entire interchange is right next to highways, right next to the turnpike, right next to 95, right next to the 595 interchange. So they built the airports here. I mean, right next to the highway. So in any event. All right, let's move on. Praying for these families, and hopefully everybody will be okay. That's two air traffic incidents in 2 consecutive days. Yesterday up in New York, the propeller of a helicopter just came off and they went down. So crazy stuff going on up in the air. And if you're flying this weekend or flying next weekend for Easter, I wish the best for you. And we will be praying for everybody who's got to travel. Second housekeeping thing is Laura Trump. Love the interview we had yesterday. If you didn't have a chance to see it, go ahead. You don't have to go to the show and sit through 3 or 3.5 hours, whatever that was. You can just go to my page. I cut it and I just put it up as its own section, so you can just go there and just see that interview as well. I liked it. I liked talking to her. I liked the story that she told. And if you have a chance, it's only 24 minutes or so. Go ahead and check that out. What else do I have to say for housekeeping? 12:30, I've got author Michael Schwartz coming on. We're going to talk about the tariffs and Liberation Day and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm not doing a show tonight. A Friday night, going to go spend some time with the wife. But Saturday, tomorrow, as you guys know, I've got the panel discussion. We're not going to do an interview. Veteran biker Ben and I are going to be talking that's Sunday at 3 p.m. Tomorrow, just a regular show. All right, so that being said, let's do a quick segue and do the whole Mike Myers thing, and let's talk about what's going on right now. So I have a little intro to begin today's show. Oh, by the way, at 1 o'clock, Karoline Leavitt is going to be doing a press conference, and we will cut to that, so you won't miss a second of that. So, that being said, let's start today's show.
It is only now clear to me that this case does not just increase the risk of being seized and deported just for people who are in this country without documentation, or for people who are in this country on student visas or visas of any kind, including a green card. I knew that. I did not know that the argument made by Donald Trump in this case is a threat to every single person in the United States, every citizen, every non-citizen, every single one of us. What Donald Trump's former criminal defense lawyer is saying to the Supreme Court, in effect, is that Donald Trump can now have any person seized at any time, anywhere, in their homes, anywhere, throw them onto an airplane, send them to El Salvador, put them in the prison that Donald Trump is renting down there, and leave them there forever. That is the actual Trump argument to the Supreme Court.
So it seems as though between yesterday and today, the argument with the Democrats is we don't think 21% is a low enough rating for us. Because that's the only thing you can extract from everything that you've been seeing right now is that, hey, we can go much lower. Just watch, we will go much lower. We will do everything we can to see if we can't get to 15. 21% is way too high for us. The media at this point is going to help the Democrats get way below 21%. And as I posted earlier, we are no longer in the propaganda stage. We are way past propaganda. We are way past gaslighting. We have entered full-on MK Ultra. That's what they want to do. They are now looking to change the ability for people in this country to think and tell them what they should be thinking. Not just telling you lies or propaganda. There is an effort afoot at this point. And I feel sorry for those who are being sponges and taking this crap in. If you want to save America, one of the things you can do to save America is tell people to stop watching this crap on MSNBC and CNN. There is nothing, and I do mean nothing, that they can say at this point to prove that they're trying to hurt America, that they're not trying to hurt America. This dude went on a national newscast, MSNBC, and it should have had blinking disclaimers the entire time. This is just a test. We are looking to brainwash you forever. It just vomited all over his screen and did it well. Just smiled in the camera, and Donald Trump was going to snatch you out of your home and send you to El Salvador and lock you up in a maximum security prison because he doesn't like you. And I'm thinking to myself, what is wrong with these people? And further, what is wrong with the idiots who turn that crap on? Do your neighbors a favor, do your family a favor, your coworkers, and say, people, you got to stop watching this shit. Excuse my language, but it is what it is. It is complete poop. You cannot be that stupid. And the only way you could believe it is if you allow yourself to be immersed in this crap. Because I'm going to show you a bunch more where they're just making stuff up. Absolutely just pulling it out of thin air. They have no clue what they're talking about. And it just does seem to me that they are trying indeed to push their ratings lower. With no leader on this party, with nobody to walk up and just slap them and go, wake up. What are you people doing? Listen to this.
Supported that law. So I'm glad that you want to weigh in, because the question was about due process. And since it's for people who are accused and charged with crimes, but not necessarily convicted of them, what do you make of the concerns about due process?
So I understand your concerns, and I understand how immigrants across this country who are here legally and have followed the law are being terrorized right now because they are unsure of what happens next.
Immigrants who are here legally? I'm pretty sure that's not the case. This is some Democrat congresswoman, and her first sentence is a lie. And she's sitting in front of Jake Tapper and, of course, Caitlin Collins, and they don't correct her. Why would someone who's here legally be worried about being snatched out of their homes? You absolutely are lying. Watch the ticker, 20.9. It's going down.
I voted for that piece of legislation because of a very specific provision, and it was if it caused injury or death to a police officer, which was one small piece of it. There were other things about, to your point, Caitlin, someone who was was charged but hadn't been convicted. As I've thought about it over the last couple months, I probably would have voted differently. It's a vote that I regret, but coming into this Congress, I trusted that this administration, we would have some, if they wanted to have border security, they wanted to work with Democrats, that we could actually move forward. I'm not really sure of that because I've seen the rhetoric that has come out and the attacks that have been targeted towards immigrants. So I'm very cautious and careful when I'm negotiating my votes moving forward.
Do you know what bill she was talking about? Do you know what she was talking about that she just said, I regret voting for it? She regrets voting for the Laken-Riley Act. Well, it's about 20.6 right now. It's dropping. This woman got up on stage and just said she regretted voting for the Laken-Riley Act. You know, the Georgia student who got the stuff happen to her by the newcomers. Not the immigrants. The newcomers who aren't supposed to be here. Come on, can we start using the right vernacular? Can we call a spade a spade? It is what it is. They're not supposed to be here. They're not legally allowed to be here. And now you're saying, well, I wouldn't have voted for it if I knew what I know now. So, yeah, I know she got dead. But, I got to protect the immigrants.
It's notable, Congressman, to hear you say you regret that vote. Congressman McKenzie, what's your response and thoughts on all of this?
I would say this. Actions that we have seen from illegal immigrants coming into our country, committing these...
You see, you already know he's a Republican. You already know that this guy is a Republican. Don't know who he is. But the fact that he used the right word, and I could be wrong. I've never heard of McKenzie, but the fact that he was able to aptly describe the so-called people that she wouldn't describe lends me to believe he knows what the hell he's talking about, that this is, a newcomer.
Heinous crimes are a serious challenge that are long overdue to be addressed. And so I was happy that this was the first piece of legislation that the new Congress addressed, and it was passed in a bipartisan fashion through the House and Senate and became law. And there are more things that we need to do in a bipartisan way to actually get these solutions that 80% of Americans agree with. And so in instances like this, I think this was the right thing to do. It was a positive step. But there's a lot more to be done to protect our communities.
Congressman Lawler, let me get you to weigh in here, because also tonight we just heard from the Supreme Court on the concerns about deporting people from the United States, who said the Trump administration must, quote, facilitate the return of the Maryland man who the administration acknowledged was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. Do you agree with the Supreme Court's ruling on that?
Yes. And he should be returned, and obviously they should follow the law there. But I would say when we're dealing with this crisis,
she lied, and this guy just lied. Maybe instead of talking to these people, you should, confer with a constitutional attorney. This guy doesn't have to come back here. The Supreme Court weighed in, and they said specifically the guy who got mistakenly deported to El Salvador still should be deported. You just need to go ahead and see where he needs to go. And the Supreme Court decision that was 9-0 confirmed that President Trump has Article 2 and Article 3 powers, and that they can, quote, effectuate, whatever the hell that means. They can effectuate his, position where he needs to go. That's it. John Roberts punted again. 9-0, you didn't write it in such a fashion, and so you got people out here going, oh, you got to bring him back. No, they don't. That guy's never coming back here. Don't listen to these idiots. He is not coming back to America.
We saw over 10.5 million migrants come into the United States during Joe Biden's presidency. They were released into the U.S. through a program called Catch and Release. And as a result, you saw across the country municipalities struggling under the weight of it.
More about why this bill is raising these alarm bells among Democrats and voting rights groups.
Yeah, there's two separate issues. The first is the fact that there's very little evidence that non-citizens are voting regularly in elections, and when they
I told you, they've gone away from gaslighting. It's no longer propaganda. It's absolute mind control. How can we tell them? Oh, if we keep lying, then the idiots watching this thing, ooh, they won't even know the difference. They think this is true. There's very little evidence. What? Did you not?
Sometimes do. Those are largely seen as errors and judgment and really not some kind of concerted effort to try to rig an election. So that's the first thing that voting rights groups are pointing out. The other issue.
Notice that's smooth. That's the thing that voting rights activists and those are the ones who are saying, no, there wasn't any. We need to point. No, how about talking to actual, judges? The people who looked at this stuff, look, I don't care what a voting right activist said. Yeah, you're going down to about 20.4 now. You're still dropping.
Is that you have to prove that you're a citizen of the United States. And the way that you do that is perhaps you can show a real ID that shows you're a citizen, but not every state's real ID has some marker that shows that you are a citizen of the United States. That means perhaps you would have a passport. Half of Americans don't have a passport. There's also a question about if you have an ID that does not show that you were born in the United States, then you can use your birth certificate. But if you are a woman who has changed your name, perhaps after you got married, your birth certificate may not match your ID. So there are these hurdles that exist for people, a burden of proof that exists for people to try to go and register for.
It was so funny. Who was I? I think I was watching Martha McCallum on Fox, and one of these idiots came on and was doing the same thing. It's mixing. She's been like, I've been married for 30 years, and I didn't have any problem. Those of you ladies here who are watching, you've probably been married for a long time. You still got your ID. My wife. Any woman that you probably know who's been married, who took on their husband's name, somehow was able to get an ID. Now all of a sudden, 2025, women who change their name can't get IDs. You actually, somebody somewhere in some think tank got together and said, you know what? This is a good plan. We'll tell everybody. Well, what about the women who have already been married and changed their name and got IDs? We won't even talk to them. We'll talk to the people who haven't been married yet and scare them more even to getting married, that you won't be able to vote if you get married, because if you change your name, then, oh my God, you'll never be able to vote again. So number one, if you do get married, shouldn't do it. But if you do get married, don't, whatever you do, don't take your husband's last name. These people are nefariously nuts. Absolutely nefariously nuts. And I'm pretty sure one or both of these women, which is interesting, we could probably look it up, one or both of these women are probably married. And I wouldn't doubt if there's people in the studio or in the building at CNN that are probably married and have their husband's last name. And I'm pretty sure every single one of them have ID, but you're not supposed to realize that if you're a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, you're supposed to assume the ladies here and every lady that you see who's ever gotten married and took their husband's last name, they're all idiots and they can't vote. That's how you know that this is a MK Ultra mission of epic proportions, because the person watching this need only do that and look at their wife to understand they're being lied to. The old people who were at the Boca Raton protest, who will be protesting if they're told to about this, need only to look at the other person in the car to realize they're being lied to. But they don't expect you to do that because they're getting so far into your frontal lobe to try and massage it to let you think that this crap is true.
Voting, and that is the key concern from some of these voting rights groups. Now, we should point out that the SAVE Act did pass the House of Representatives. It faces a very steep hurdle in the United States Senate. This bill would be required to be voted on at a 60-vote threshold. Democrats are largely opposed to this bill. It's really unclear how this would get through Congress this session, given the numbers in that chamber.
All right, Lauren.
I guess she's never heard of the, reconciliation. But I'm not going to educate her on that. All right, so now you got Kayleigh McEnany, who appeared on Jesse Waters' show to talk about some of this insane here. And they're lying. I mean, it would be one thing if they're making mistakes, but they're lying across the board. And when you're seeing so many lies, you realize these people are in deep, deep trouble. Because they're huddling, they're coming up with the messaging, oh, there was insider trading, oh, they're going to deport everybody, oh, if you take your husband's last name, you're screwed. And normal people are like sitting back going, what are you people doing? How are you running around with your heads chopped off like dead chickens and saying this stuff? The Democrat Party is in such disarray. It's dangerous because of its insanity and how they're spreading this insanity. And that's why I need you. That's why America needs you. I don't think you guys realize how much power you have by just talking to these people and going, you're bat poop crazy, right? Go ask your wife what her name is, and then when you go in there, ask her if she's got an ID. I'm just saying. It ends the conversation, because what is the person going to say? Well, not us, we're white. Oh, so black people who get married can't get IDs. Is that what you're saying? And then you ask the coworker, hey, Shirley, you got an ID? You married? What's your last name? Is that your real last name? Oh, no, that's your... What? They can only exist by ignorance. That's what you have to understand. The Democrat Party can only exist counting on each other's ignorance. There's nothing else. They don't have anything else. And that's how you can see now the news, CNN, all these different networks, they're just flailing. They don't even know why. Let's just put somebody else on here who can lie some more. And it doesn't make any sense. This is America. Have people forgot how to think? And this is the biggest one probably I've ever latched onto, because of its complete, utter arm's length insanity. And what I mean by arm's length insanity is you only, for most people who are married, only have to reach arm's length away to completely debunk this. Because the person who's arm's length away is your spouse. And babe, you got an ID? I think you do, right? Yeah, you've driven. Do you have a problem getting it? And it's over. It is absolutely over right at that point. If you have an ID, if you have a wife, and if you ask your wife that, and she says, yes, I have an ID, and you say, honey, how long have you had an ID? I had an ID long before I married your ass. Excuse my language. I had an ID back when I was, high school when I was 16 and got a license. And I've had that ID. And then when I married you and I took your last name, guess what? I still had an ID. And I got it updated with my name. Oh, just like we have to get it updated when you move. Many of you have moved from state to state. Did you have a problem getting an ID? I'm just asking. Please bring out these people. Please bring out to me in some stadium or theater the idiots that you're talking about. The complete buffoons who keep saying, I couldn't get an ID because I got married or I was black. Or because I was poor. There's married poor people. There are married poor people. There are married black poor people. There are married white poor people. There are married Asian poor people. And they all have ID. So when you hear this stuff and you realize your own life debunks what the Democrats are saying, your own ability to reason and think gives them no place to go. And I would love to see the face of the cognitive dissonance you will experience when you ask these people that simple question. Does your wife have an ID? That's all you have to ask. Oh, we hate Trump. He won't let he won't let them vote because they have a different last name. Excuse me, ma'am, are you married? Yes. How long have you been married? Oh, about 25 years. Yeah. Did you take your husband's last name? Yeah. Do you have an ID? And as soon as that question hits them, the cognitive dissonance will cause them to melt like the witch in The Wizard of Oz, because there is no place to go. They'll scream at you. They may run. They may try to hit you with something, but they can't get away from what's staring them in the face, that they've been brainwashed. They have submitted willingly to be MK Ultra participants. I got more to show you, but I see that Dr. Schwartz is in the house here, so I'm going to go to break real quick, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Dr. Michael Schwartz, and then from there, we're going to go directly at 1 o'clock as soon as Karoline Leavitt walks up to the platform and cover her press conference, which should be kind of juicy today. All right, we'll be right back.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I've got Dr. Michael J. Schwartz lined up. Before I bring him out, I want to talk to you for a second about the recession, the Armageddon that we're in, liberation. Well, it's Friday, which is usually dump day, and for some reason, the stock market back on the roller coaster is back on the upswing. 245 points up, 0.62% in the green. Not quite what everybody thought overnight, with the Asian index and the Australian index both having some issues. But right now we're in the green, and if you bought the dip, you're up a little bit this morning, and it may continue to go that way. But in any event, I want to introduce you to Dr. Michael J. Schwartz. Dr. Schwartz, can you hear me? Or how's your sound?
I can. My studio doesn't always cooperate with VMix, so I hope you can hear me right.
Yeah, I'm going to raise your mic a little bit so I can dial you in a little bit better. So, Dr. Michael Schwartz is the author of The Only Way... Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Michael Schwartz is the author of The Only Way to Save America, and he's been talking a lot lately about the liberation of the United States and the tariffs and everything else. Michael Schwartz, thank you for taking the time on a Friday afternoon to come out and talk to us right before this press conference. So, talk to me. Tell me, what's the book about, The Only Way to Save America? Let's start there.
Sure. Well, this is the third in my series. You probably never heard of my first two, Fauci's fiction and vaccine fiction, because we had a lot of censorship on those. But this is kind of what we do our show about. My morning show is the Mike Schwartz Show on Rumble. Then we do two mics live, news, politics, and comedy. And it's really about kind of resetting the country. You know, we got one guy who could finally do it in Donald J. Trump, and we need to support him as much as we can. So I wanted to explain the issues. And a lot of these issues, Barry, we've been talking about for years, whether it be changing the tax code or term limits, balanced budget amendments. So it really kind of delves into the history of those issues, explains why we have to do it now and why we've only got really one shot to fix this country under one man.
Well, you know, as I'm watching what's going on and how the stock, I'm hearing some sort of feedback on your end.
I'm going to close this. I thought VMix does not work well in we use StreamYard, Barry. I have no idea. It's always VMix.
All right. So anyway, we'll try to get through it. And you guys who are watching, please understand there's a gremlin in the machine here. But in any event, what is the need And why are these tariffs being put in place? We hear about it all the time, but obviously I'd like to see if you could break it down even further. We've talked to a few economists. What are these tariffs actually going to do and accomplish?
Well, we got two things. So one, we're always talking about, Howard Lutnick agrees with me that they want to get rid of the income tax system. You got to remember, we didn't have an income tax until 1913 with the 16th Amendment. That's important because, you talk to young kids and they always think that this is the way it's always been, right? It's not the way it's always been. It's not the way the founders intended the country to run. But you got two problems with the tariffs, right? You could go to an external system and raise money on tariffs like we used to. But now if these countries want to negotiate to bring us all down to zero, now you have to find another revenue source, right? So right now it's the income system. My book advocates for a VAT tax, not flat. That's not an F. That's a V. That's a value added tax. If you can't raise the money with taxes, the only fair way to do it. And there's a couple reasons for that, Barry. If you think about it, 40% of Americans do not pay a dime in federal income tax. And that's a problem because they're the ones telling us that we have to pay our fair share, and they vote. So, it's really an unfair system. If everybody has skin in the game, paying a VAT tax, now we're all paying equally at least. Now at least they'll start the conversation of, why am I paying such a high amount? Where's all this money going to? Because right now they don't care. It's other people's money. It's ours. So you got a couple problems with these tariffs, but Donald Trump is trying to reset the playing field ultimately here.
You mentioned the VAT tax. Can you explain the difference between a VAT tax and a flat sales tax?
Well, when most people say flat tax, they mean a flat percentage on income. I'm advocating for the abolition of the income tax completely. So that's a flat tax. A flat tax would be, let's tax everybody at 20% or 10% or 15%. A lot of people think that's fair, but it's not, because you're still going to have that 40% of the country who's not paying income tax. They're going to be exempt. And unless everybody's paying, a VAT tax is a sales tax. A VAT tax is like you would pay on a sales tax level. And the arguments, the proponents against that, Barry, are going to say, well, it's going to drive up cost at every level. And that's not true. It doesn't do that on a state sales tax because it's paid by the end user. So everybody in the middle is exempt. Right now, I had Congressman Buddy Carter on the show, and he said at current levels, that tax right now, which he's in favor of, would be at 23%. But again, this is in lieu of an income tax. So you don't have all that money being taken out of your check every week. And now it's arbitrary because you decide when you want to pay it. You decide if you want to make that purchase. And guys like Jeff Bezos, who can afford the $100 million yacht, they're going to pay the percentage on that. Me getting a used bass boat for $1,000, you know what? I'll be happy to pay the VAT tax as long as everybody is on an equal playing field.
Now, you'd have to explain that deeper, and I've had Buddy on. I've had the people from the flat tax on as well, and the sales tax seems to always freak people out. Mainly because I've got a lot of retirees and people on fixed incomes here, and they think that it's going to affect them the most negatively out of everybody else because they have a fixed income. When I was talking to Buddy, and I forget the gentleman's name with the other tax idea, there was going to be an exemption. With the VAT tax that you're talking about, is there going to be an exemption for fixed income people or at a certain income level?
Well, certain items would be exempt, like food, clothing, things like that. But, that's what the government talks about, because that's the argument that's going to happen from the left. It's going to, you're going to affect, minorities, you're going to affect poor people. All these things they want to throw at you on the left, and you're going, how? It really doesn't make sense if you think about it, because like I said, at the end of the day, when 40% of Americans aren't paying anything into the system, that's the problem with all politics is local, right? How does it affect me? But if you think about the greater good of the country, I want to know how it's going to affect my kids, my grandkids, and my grandkids' kids at the end of the day. Same thing with term limits. We're always worried about right now and how it looks right now, but we have let this country go to hell in a handbasket. And that's happened over the last 30 to 50 years. And that's exactly what Donald Trump's trying to fix. So, yeah, there may be some exemptions for people in the middle there. But, Howard Lutnick agrees with me. I think Scott Bessent's talked about this a little bit. It's really the only fair way to do it. And, Barry, think about this. It solves about 90% of the problems, because think about what the politicians do. You've got one candidate saying, I'll give you a $5,000 tax credit for your kids. The next one says, I'll do you one better and give you a $6,000 tax credit, a credit on our money. Think about how they play the system against us. When you eliminate all of that, when you eliminate the IRS and you eliminate the income tax, which technically is theft, you do, like I said, I'll say it again, level the playing field for all Americans at the same time. It's the only fair way to do it.
Now, with everything that Doge has uncovered and will continue to uncover as they dig deeper into different departments, have you done any study or know of any information that says at what point would it be that number that warrants or basically validates the fact that we could go to a VAT tax or a sales tax in lieu of income tax?
Well, I mean, look, there's a lot that has to happen here. I think that's kind of where they're pushing by eliminating the IRS. And bringing up that interview you mentioned, we talked about Buddy Carter a minute ago. Buddy said that number right now would be 23%. But if you can cut the federal budget, that number might come down to 15, 10%. This is, again, getting those people into the conversation. So Doge is a big part of this, because what Doge uncovers and all this waste, fraud, and abuse, you see what's happening on the left. They're literally suspending logic, and they're defending the indefensible when it comes to Doge. How could you advocate for some of this money that on that list we saw a couple weeks ago? It's horrendous when you look at that, but the left will say, they'll make up something about how the world needs this money. They also conflate USAID, thinking it's US aid. Mm-hmm. It's the Agency for International Development. So Doge is a big part here, because if Doge can uncover enough to get that budget down to a meaningful number, we can implement all of this at once. But the problem is, look, Barry, this is going to take longer than 4 years. Howard Lutnick said maybe we could do this in this term, but that pendulum swings back in little less than 2 years with the Congress. We need to make sure we're all on the same page. We need to be explaining this to people. We need to make sure they understand the economics of this, even though the left wants to suspend logic, because the people in the middle are the ones that are going to determine the next election, and we got to get them on the same page with us.
A true liberation would be obviously the abolishment of IRS completely. And then you, and I've had Ann Vandersteel and a few other people here, and I'm going to go into this third rail here, which I think you're okay talking about. Sure. Why are some people saying that the income tax is actually illegal and it doesn't have any constitutional basis for even being in place?
Well, it didn't until 1913. That was the problem. So it was implemented in the Civil War, and then it was brought back. And then when the government tried to bring it back, the U.S. Supreme Court said this is unconstitutional. You can't do this. So I explain that all in my book. I go through the history of this to explain that. But then with the 16th Amendment in 1913, they actually changed it so it is constitutional now, but only because of that amendment, which that amendment is that's kind of the beginning of the progressive amendments. You want to go back to the Woodrow Wilson days. That's when we started seeing these progressive amendments shift our country from what the founders intended into what you see now in $36 trillion in debt. We had plenty of money when we raised money off tariffs. Now because we're this giant industrial nation, shrinking, I should say, compared to the rest of the world lately, now we need all this money for this giant military industrial complex and everything else we do because we police the world. So unfortunately, if we can't raise it all with tariffs, we're going to have to use another form like a VAT tax. But traditionally, you're right. The income tax was unconstitutional.
And we're at a point now where, the tax code is this big. Even starting there may take an act of Congress. Is there anything that President Trump can do on his own through any executive order to begin going after the tax code without completely having to get Congress to be involved?
That's kind of what you're seeing now. It's almost the same thing that you're seeing at the Department of Education. Mm-hmm. It's going to take Congress, an act of Congress, to eliminate the Department of Education. So Linda McMahon said, hey, we're going to shrink this so small. We're going to give the money back to the state so that people will see that it works in the way that we want it to work. Now, that's a great thought, but you see how the left operates. So we could do the same thing with the IRS, right? We're starting to shrink the IRS. We're getting rid of those 87,000 agents. The other day they mentioned they're going to fire 25% of the workforce, and that's great. I mean, I don't know how people can advocate for 87,000 armed agents coming after you for a $600 Venmo payment. Like I said, we've suspended logic. So I think you're going to see a lot of those small interactions take place so that we shrink the size of government, we shrink these departments so that we can kind of get to that point. I think we're going to go down a path here. A lot of people aren't going to realize what we're doing, and I don't think the Trump administration wants to come out and openly talk about a VAT tax right now because it will scare people. We have to kind of lead them down that road, and I think that's exactly where Donald Trump is going.
Now, with the advent of crypto and how Trump wants to be the Bitcoin king, basically, it put America first in Bitcoin and crypto. Other than the obvious of the control of your dollars, why are the Democrats so they hate crypto, they hate anything of a digital currency, unless, of course, they were controlling it. Is it merely a control issue?
I think you bring up the exact point. I mean, Donald Trump and the Republicans, you and I could create a cure for male pattern baldness, and you'd have bald guys yelling at you saying they don't want it. It's amazing. I mean, it doesn't matter what we say, Barry. They're going to go against the grain, and that's kind of like why I like this administration. Donald Trump is now laser focused on just the issues at this point. We have to stop caring about what everybody else around the world thinks about us, including these left-wing loons that suspend logic, because to engage in that conversation is to go right into their Saul Alinsky Rules for Radicals playbook. Let them call you what they are, and then have us defend it. And we got to stop playing it. You saw a little of that in the first administration. Now we're just laser focused on let's get it done. I think Donald Trump realizes we got one shot at this and we can't screw it up.
And you're exactly right. I bring up the Rules for Radicals all the time. I hope you guys are I'm pointing to the screen. I hope you guys are all reading that and understand what they're doing, because once you start looking at that, you can see it is their playbook. So yesterday, we find out that they're going to release information, or they did release information on the Russian hoax. We're seeing more and more that the Trump administration is peeling back the onion label. How is it right now that the media, in your estimation, you're in the media, you write books, how is the media just openly lying to people? Is it just that Smith-Munt Act, or are they just so far in the tank there is no way back for them?
I think they live in their own bubble, Barry. I play them on my show every morning. I do a morning show at 10 a.m. here on Rumble, and we do a night show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So we do the news every day. And at the end of my show in the morning, I usually play a couple clips of lefties losing it, because we're sitting here, you and I can have these really intense conversations about actual issues. Like, how do we get to the bottom of it and fix the country? And I know I'm watching your chat. I see the audience cares about these things. The left, when I show clips of the left, I remind my audience, I go, this is who we're fighting against. And a lot of the, you asked about the media. A lot of these people on MSNBC, Joe and Mika, whoever it is, they're literally living in their own bubble. I don't think they watch shows like yours and mine. I don't think they seek out other opinions. And after a while, they start to believe their own BS. And that's part of the problem. Like they're woke. We're awake. And there's a distinct difference between the two. I write about that in the book too. That's the cover, The Only Way to Save America, Trump 2.0, The Battle for Common Sense. That one just came out. And my first two books got so much censorship because they were about COVID. My companies had to be the first in the state of New Jersey to do a COVID test. We did 44,000 of them on 19,000 patients. So I wrote Fauci's fiction first and then vaccine fiction. And you talk about the media, they covered it all up. I mean, Amazon censored my books. The media would pull down interviews that I did. So far, okay with this one. But, this is at least now that everybody's starting to calm down. They realized the censorship was getting out there. People are starting to talk about it. And, hey, the mainstream is starting to realize that guys like you and I are getting shut down.
Are you still in New Jersey?
I am.
All right. So big news yesterday, in case you people in the chat haven't heard it. Alina Habba is basically telling Phil Murphy, the governor of New Jersey, that she may be coming for him. What are you hearing about that?
Look, I think it's long overdue. We're tired of Phil Murphy. I tell everybody I'm in Republican town in New Jersey. I live in the very red area of New Jersey. Anybody who wins statewide election, the votes come out of Ocean and Monmouth County. So we're the dichotomy here in New Jersey is horrible. We all can't stand Phil Murphy. And then the northern part of the state, they're all just woke and sleeping. They have no idea what's going on. But it's about time. I mean, I don't even have plastic bags, Barry. I live in New Jersey where I go shopping, and I don't want to tell everybody how old I am. I got 40 some years of shopping where muscle memory tells me I could just show up at ShopRite and get my groceries. Every single time I forget, 3 years ago, he said, you can't have plastic bags. He had windmills off the shore killing dolphins and whales. This guy has just done everything to destroy this state. And now I hear he wants to ban bird feeders. Look, it's about time. And Barry, just on a side note, when I wrote my first 2 books, I have had the DOJ coming after me ever since Fauci's fiction came out. What? And by the way, yes, there's a lot. We don't know each other yet, but we'll get there. But yeah, the DOJ has been relentless, and that has not stopped since Trump's got in office, because there are a lot of holdovers at the DOJ still. So I still have to pay lawyers every day, and I have to go to another deposition on the 28th of this month. So that's,
oh my God. Yeah. That's insane. All right, so again, get ready to cut to this press conference, but I have one last question for you that a lot of people have wondered. What in the heck happened with the drones? It was the biggest story in the media, and then all of a sudden, it just disappeared. What did you ever find out, living up there, what the heck was going on?
No, but I'm a private pilot, and I predicted that. A lot of what people were seeing were actual planes, because they would look up at the sky thinking there's going to be drones. So every light they saw all of a sudden was a drone. But we did have them. I had one come over my house. It was unidentified, but it had nav lights. So it's not like they were from another planet. These were obviously built here. We were trying to figure it out. We had Congressman Jeff Van Drew saying that there was an Iranian mothership off the coast. And then you had, Chris Smith saying this could be China. Everybody had a different story, and nobody ever got to the bottom of it. I will tell you, though, that, Barry, as of now, the drones have disappeared. I predicted, though, when this story came out, I know you got to run, that when these were flying around, they would disappear within a week or two when it got all of our media attention, because there was a nefarious play at work. There were a couple bills in Congress that were trying to get passed, and they were trying to scare some of these Congress people. There was one company that was something robotics, and they do exactly that. I wouldn't put it past companies like that to be scaring the crap out of people just to make sure Congress was pushing bills forward of what they wanted at the time.
It was an absolutely crazy time. It was nuts. All right, so the book is called what's it again? The
only way to
save because I'm looking at your other book here, but it's not your book, it's your show. 2 Mics Live. Is there another Mike that works with you?
Yeah, that's the night show. We'll be on tonight at 7 p.m. That's the channel on Rumble, the number 2 Mics Live on Rumble, and then my show, The Mike Schwartz Show, is also on that channel Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. The 3 books are Fauci's fiction, vaccine fiction, and The Only Way to Save America, the one that just came.
I'm gonna salute you personally right now, and just give you that salute, because I do 2 shows often. A lot of people don't realize it's a lot of damn work. It's a lot of work. You got to spend time researching and everything else. And so I commend you for keeping that fight alive and trying to take away, whatever, participation share you can from the media up there as well. So, Dr. Michael Schwartz, thank you very much for coming on. Ashley, reach out to you again. We'll get the gremlins out of the machine next time. Thank you very much. All right, guys, that was Dr. Michael Schwartz. If you'd like to go ahead and follow him, here's his Fauci's fiction. Here's his profile on X. It's Michael Schwartz at mjschwartz.1, host of 2 Mics Live. I guess that's the night show and the Mike Schwartz show. And he's got Ashley's going to have to hook him up, because he's got Mike Lindell is one of his sponsors. I'd love to get Mike Lindell on the show. That would be awesome. That would be absolutely awesome. Mike Lindell would be a great guest. All right, so it's 12:53. As you guys know who have watched this show, Karoline Leavitt is quite prompt. She's hardly ever late, so I'm gonna break for a second and get ready here. One thing I want to check, and we've been checking this every single day as the market has been changing. Let me look at this, and we got something for you here. It appears that gold is on a bit of a run, up 70 points today, up 2.3%. Now may be a great time for you to get in with all this volatility. I keep telling you, we had the interview with Kevin Demerit that when things aren't stable, gold is a great hedge. Talk to you in a minute. As you know, President Trump has assembled the Avengers to make America great again. And of course, we're all excited and ready to see them get to work. But with everything we're seeing right now, don't take your eye off the ball. Things could get much worse before they get better. With the possibility of World War III still looming, And with the Democrats doing everything they can to impede Trump, you still need to keep your guard up and your money protected. Oh, and our national debt is still massively increasing. Don't get me wrong, I have high hopes for Trump's America, but I also have a family to look out for. You see, Trump and the Avengers have quite the uphill battle ahead. That's why I'm making sure I'm protected, and I'm recommending that you do the same. One way to be protected is by diversifying your portfolio. That's why on this channel I've been happy to partner with Lear Capital. As you know, I've been involved in real estate for quite some time, and although I dabbled in gold and silver, Kevin and his staff at Lear have helped to educate me even further, especially in regards to silver. Give Lear a call today and they'll show you how easy it is to move some of your savings or your retirement account into gold and silver. Gold and silver have been proven to hold value and protect wealth for the long term. Call Lear today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com to get your free gold and silver wealth protection guides. There's no obligation, just free information. Many of you have seen my interviews with Lear founder Kevin Demerit, and I can tell you this company is solid and likes to educate their customers. Just so you know, Lear has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $3 billion in trusted transactions, and is the only company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. And when you call, don't forget to ask how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. So if you'd like to take advantage of this opportunity, please call my friends at Lear Capital at 800-601-5430 and tell them Barry sent you. All right, so while we're waiting for Karoline Leavitt to step up to the podium, I've got it at 12:57 right now, so she's due up in 3 minutes. So let's go ahead and take a few comments. Dark Maga says, I'm loading up on silver. Good man, good man. Let's see here. Mike Lindell's, where'd that go? Mike Lindell's pillows are great too. You know, I didn't know anything about Mike Lindell other than what we had seen was happening during the Trump campaign and how they came after him so hard because he became an election. I'm trying to say it the right way. An election guy. Okay, we'll call it an election guy. And then Robin wanted to support him. And she never had bought any of his products. And this isn't a commercial. This isn't any sort of affiliate endorsement. I'm just telling you a real story here. She's like, I want to support him. Let's buy a couple pillows. And man, she could not believe it. She loves his pillows. She absolutely loves them. So if you don't know people who have these pillows, forget the commercial endorsement. He's not an advertiser here yet. But in any event, the pillows are awesome. Absolutely awesome. She bought him and like, you need to try this. And like, you ever seen the commercial where the guy's like on his neck and he's like, oh, your neck doesn't. I'm like, oh man, this is really good. So yeah, you're right. The pillows are great. It's turned into a My Pillow commercial. I love my pillows. That was hard to say. My pillows. All you guys, yeah, I love my pillows. Yeah, they're really good. But Kevin Eline says, I bought 20 more ounces of silver today. Oh, great. You ordered your Trump knife and waiting for delivery. That's awesome. That is very awesome. So we're waiting for Karoline to come out. I don't want to start and do any more of the video because she's usually pretty prompt. And something tells me today's going to be a good press conference. I think she's going to be slicing and dicing these people pretty hard today because they're going to come after her. And like I was talking earlier, the absolute lies that the Democrats are now trying to force down the throat of American people, they're going to try and force it down her throat. Listen to the way they craft the question. You know, you're going to be going after immigrants and deporting them? No, we're not deporting immigrants. We're deporting immigrants who aren't supposed to be here. Can you start saying the right questions? Can you start telling America that you even care at this point? To be honest, And then the other thing with the SAVE Act, and then the whole thing with, that came out just yesterday. If you haven't seen all the information about the Russian hoax, the media won't talk. Well, they probably won't ask any questions about it. Nope, they will. Let me pull that back. The media will not talk about the information that got released. The information that got released about the Russian hoax, 800 pages of information that proves that it was all BS. The media will not talk about what Tulsi Gabbard said yesterday when she plainly said, now we have evidence that they tried to rig, that they did rig it. They actually have the evidence. Nope, they won't talk about it. So you can expect she'll come out. She's going to get to the podium. She's going to read the message. She's going to tell them, 1, the tariffs. Number 2, the Russia hoax. 3, she may even bring up what Tulsi Gabbard said. And they will then ignore everything that she says. They will just completely ignore it and just go to what they want it to be. And it's going to be about the tariffs in the stock market. But now they may have to even pull that back as they talk about the stock market. Why? Because as you look at it right now, which I'm sure they didn't plan on, let me just refresh. Yeah, they probably didn't plan on. They walked into the room this morning and said, hey, let's hammer her about the stock market. Oh. It's on a vertical climb right now. They're not going to want to talk about that. They're up 427, up 1%. It's climbing. Despite all their efforts to try and trash Trump and everything he's been doing, the numbers are going up. So be expected them to just go directly to whatever negative story they can try at this point. Probably the Supreme Court justice saying you have to effectuate whatever's going on with that guy. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts what these people do. Stephen Miller, who you guys love and I love as well in terms of how he talks, he asked about that. Listen, let me see if I can find that where he just slammed this guy really hard. There was one, he posts so prolifically, it's very hard to find his stuff. But let's see, I'm looking to find it where he just went after this guy. Because the guy was, he keeps posting about El Salvador. He doesn't care. You're going away, people. You are going away. He wrote this yesterday or the day before. Message to, you know what, leave now or lose it all. Just in Trump DHS to enforce the 1996 law to fine $998 a day. You're going to go. You got to go. And I'm looking for the one where he basically went after this guy, went after him hard and said, another one, it got deleted. 1 second while we're waiting here. I'm working on the camera. I just want to find this because it's a great post that he put up. Where is it? I can't find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. He wrote this. Some guy goes, Supreme Court in a unanimous decision has the dude who they deported has a legal right to be here and you have to bring him back. And he's like, no, false. SCOTUS rejected the lower court and made it clear that a district court judge cannot exercise Article 2 foreign affairs powers. Illegal alien, oh boy, I said it, terrorist, is in the custody and control of a sovereign foreign nation. So what he means by that is, obviously, if you have a problem, call El Salvador. The fact that they're in another country, even if it was by accident, he's not coming back here. Wait till you hear today. I guarantee you today, the media is going to be all over that saying he's got to come back. It was a unanimous decision because they're misreading it. And John Favreau, who wrote this, was responding to J.D. Vance. And John Favreau used to work with Obama. And this is what he wrote. He was responding to J.D. Vance. My comment is that according to court document you apparently didn't read, he was a convicted MS-13 gang member with no legal right to be here. My further comment is that it's gross to get fired up about gang members getting deported while ignoring citizens they victimize. Which is true. At which point, that guy says the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision, he has a legal right to be here and you have to bring him back. Will Chamberlain, not what they said. Ask me how I know you're not a lawyer. But the bottom line with all of this is, instead of going back and forth bitching about a MS-13 gang member affiliated, confirmed, they are actually, the Democrats are actually advocating for a killer. That's where this party is. Like I said, 21%, 20, you're going down. You're doing this in open public where the people of America can see that you're advocating for these nuts. And I'm thinking to myself, what do they not? You know, Robin always tells me, she tells me in biblical terms, you know, God's put blinders on them. And I'm like, I used to say, what, really? You think that's what it is? Now I'm thinking, maybe that's true. Maybe these people just have such blinders on them that they can't even tell that they're so far gone at this point. I don't know. It's very weird indeed. The Democrats just aren't too bright. I don't know if it's not about being bright. Some of these people are intelligent people. Just don't know what the hell's going on. And behind, I love my pillows. People are still talking about my pillows. 2020 isn't over. Can't wait for the big reveal. When we get back to the video, I'm going to be talking to you about that very subject. Because now, with all this stuff being called into question about the auto pen stuff, I don't know where everything is going to go. It's crazy. Yeah, Elisa, you're correct. You can deport him to another country. But here's the problem. Here's a big problem for the Democrats. All El Salvador has to say, you can't have him. End of discussion. We can't make El Salvador give him back to us anyway. And I don't think the libnuts understand that. Doesn't really matter at this point what the Supreme Court said or what any judge says. He's sitting in a jail of another country. Are you going to have the Navy SEALs go in and kick in the door and attack the prison and extricate this guy just so you could, I don't know, deport him to Panama or wherever? He's not coming back here. He's not coming back to America. And if the president of El Salvador just says, case closed, done, we're not giving him back. Okay. You want to have an international incident? It's not an American. And I don't think they've thought this out. He's sitting in the jail of another country. There is no way for America to go in and just take this guy out. Well, can you ask? Okay. Can you let him out? No. Okay, we asked. That's why the Supreme Court said effectuate. They basically said in a big word, can you at least ask? That's what they said. Can you try? All right. Hey, dude, bro, they want us to bring the guy back. Can you give him back to us? No. I tried. That is it. And I want you to know that, talking to anybody else. I'll eat my words if something changes, but there's nothing. As I've said before with the other judge, Bo Asperger, wanting to hold him in contempt, there's nothing you can do. And don't think that Trump hasn't game planned this all the way through. First thing you want to do with any plan, what happens if it doesn't work? What's my exposure? What am I going to lose? What am I going to be liable for? That's explained in every single game plan in their war room. All right, if that doesn't work, then what happens here? And you just follow it down. So we're going to deport this guy. And what if they tell us we can't deport him? And if they tell us then to go back and get him? Well, sir, yeah, he's no longer in our custody. Okay, what's that mean? He's in the custody of another country. Okay. We can't make them give him to us. Oh, okay. So the worst case scenario is some court somewhere says, go get him. And our response is, hello, we tried. Next. And that's it. That's it. That's the entirety of where this thing goes. You need to know that. All right, Miss Leavitt's team is walking out, so obviously she will be right behind them. As you know, just so I can let you know, I always do this. I'm going to have 2 and 3 different feeds running so we can pick which feed has the best sound and less interruptions. I've got, let's see. Usually the White House direct feed is the best feed, but as soon as she walks out, we will go ahead and get it. Let me go ahead and hit the button here, get it ready, and then we can decide which feed we are going to take. Well, at least the other ladies on her team just came out. She didn't come out yet. All right. I have the gold bar with President Trump when they tried to unalive him. Exactly. Bo Asperger. You're not late, Lynette. You're not late. She hasn't walked out yet, imminently. It's 1:10. Unlike her for being late. Not like her. Please just let common sense continue to take the wheel. There's so much lying. And sometimes people say, Barry, you're reiterating things because there are so many lies being told. And if you just step back and listen and talk and understand what's actually happening, it is apparent at this point that the left has no ability to tell the truth because the truth destroys their party. And they're making it worse by lying because it's becoming obvious to so many people. It's like, hey, that's not true. I talked earlier about the driver's license thing. I'm sure that'll come up. Oh, for women, what are you talking about? Crazy. She's making the lib nuts wait. She's probably waiting for the stock market to go up a few more points. Angel Miss says hell no to 23% tax. Looks like SV's got some breaking news for me to look at. Hopefully it doesn't happen. Let's see if I can show it to you in a minute. And this is another thing that they keep freaking out with. So Trump just posted this on True Social. So I'm going to try and do this and watch before she comes walking out. If not, all right, let me try to get it in. I got to keep an eye on her at the same time as try to watch this thing. All right, so look at this. President Trump just secured yet another $500 million in free legal services from a top law firm in the country. He's getting closer and closer to $1 billion. Today, President Trump and Kirkland and Ellis LLP, Allen Overy Sherman, blah, 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 all these different law firms, announced the following agreement regarding a series of actions to be taken by the law firms. One, the law firms will provide an aggregate total of at least $500 million in pro bono and other free legal services during the Trump administration and beyond. And I'm going to come back to this because I don't want to be reading and miss when she comes out. So let's go ahead and just hold on to that because that's big news, because I'm going to have to spend some time explaining what are all these law firms doing. I can do that now. Then we can go back. You can understand these big law firms are going to be providing free legal services. And in this regard, the law firm will take on a wide range of pro bono matters that represent the full political spectrum, including conservative ideals. Basically, so they don't get sued, because that was coming. Just so they don't get sued, these big, giant law firms are saying, okay, well, instead of just fining us or suing us, here's what we'll do. We'll provide our high-priced $1,000 an hour attorneys, and we'll work with the Trump administration, and we'll provide this pro bono to people you direct our way. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. It's not them admitting any wrongdoing or anything, but here she comes. We'll talk about that in a second.
Happy Friday. As you all know, the president is currently undergoing his routine and long-scheduled physical at Walter Reed Medical Center, and we will have a readout from the White House physician. Last night, Kassina Karolina arrived back safely in the United States after being detained in Russia for more than a year. Since Inauguration Day, President Trump and his team have secured the release of more than 40 detained Americans abroad. This is more than half of the number of Americans released by Joe Biden in 4 years. And President Trump has brought these Americans home in 80 days. This administration will continue to work hard to bring Americans home from around the world. As I've said before, and I will say it again today, everybody in this room has access to the most transparent and accessible president in American history. The cabinet meeting yesterday was further proof. President Trump asked each secretary to provide an update to all of you in the media on the critical work they are doing at their respective agencies to deliver on his agenda. And according to new reporting from the Washington Times, who I believe is in this room today, President Trump answered nearly 100 questions from the press, all of you, during his first 3 open press cabinet meetings this year. That's nearly 20 times the number answered by Joe Biden in cabinet meetings during his entire 4 years in office. In more excellent economic news that was released yesterday, the Consumer Price Index report showed inflation fell to 2.4% in March, smashing expectations for the second straight month in a row. This marked the first drop in consumer prices dating all the way back to the COVID pandemic. And energy prices fell 2.4% in March, driven by plummeting gas prices around the country. Also yesterday, House Republicans answered President Trump's call to move forward the budget resolution and officially set the stage for the passage of one big, beautiful bill. The American economy will boom after this bill is passed and the rest of the president's pro-growth agenda goes into effect. The largest tax cuts and deregulation in history, coupled with our energy industry unleashed and renegotiated trade agreements that put America first, are the ultimate formula to usher in the golden age of America. On that note, more than 75 countries have now reached out to the Trump administration, eager to address the trade issues that have exploited America and hurt our workers in the process. The phones have been ringing off the hook to make deals. And these countries wisely heeded President Trump's warning not to retaliate, and as a result, they were rewarded with a 90-day pause and substantially lower reciprocal tariff rates during this period so potential solutions can be achieved. Past presidents just willingly accepted the failed status quo on trade that ripped off our workers and our companies. But that's not who this president is. He creates his own leverage and negotiates deals better than anyone else who has sat in the Oval Office before him. And that process is currently underway. On another matter, the deadline for registration under the Alien Registration Act is today. All foreign nationals present in the United States longer than 30 days must register with the federal government. Failure to comply with this is a crime, punishable by fines, imprisonment, or both. As President Trump and Secretary Noem have both said, if you register and you leave now, you choose to self-deport, you may have the opportunity to return later legally. But if not, you will be arrested, fined, deported, never to return to our country again. The Trump administration will continue to enforce our nation's immigration laws. We will not pick and choose which laws to enforce. We must know who is in our country for the safety and the security of our homeland and for all American citizens. I also have a note from the First Lady to share with you on this Friday. On Tuesday this week, First Lady Melania Trump celebrated the advancement of the Take It Down Act in the House Energy and Commerce Committee. The important legislation passed the committee with bipartisan support, and as you may remember, the President talked about this bill in his address to a joint session of Congress last month. The First Lady remains dedicated to her championing child well-being, ensuring that every young person can thrive, and, of course, championing her Be Best agenda. We urge Congress to swiftly pass this important legislation. Here in our new media seat today, we have Jordan Berman. Jordan is a social media content creator and influencer and a lawyer who grew up following breaking down the news from a neutral perspective. Jordan is the host of her own podcast called Unbiased Politics, where she dissects the top stories from the week from a legal perspective. Jordan focuses on bringing back real journalism from a nonpartisan perspective and has mastered explaining complex legal decisions to a mass audience in the short-form context. Her two biggest platforms are TikTok and Instagram, where she has roughly 500,000 followers on each. With that, please kick us off, Jordan.
Thank you. As you know, yesterday the House passed the SAFE Act, and many married women, soon-to-be married women, are concerned that the new voter ID requirements may inhibit their access to the polls. What assurances can you give women voters in America to ease their concerns?
Sure. Well, the SAVE Act, as you mentioned, was passed by the House yesterday. This is the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act. I believe I'm getting that correct. And this act is a common sense measure. It would require proof of citizenship for voting in our elections. The Democrats have been fear-mongering about this bill, have been saying that married women, if their name has changed, they didn't change it on their identification, would not be able to vote. That is complete fallacy. There are outlined in the bill about how to avoid that. The president very much supports a common sense solution to ensuring that only citizens can engage in our elections. This is critical to improving the integrity of our elections and also the trust that American citizens need to have in our electoral process. So the president supports this bill, and that is a myth that has been proven wrong by the text of this bill. And I believe some of the co-sponsors of the bill have been very vocal in addressing that. And certainly I myself, as a married woman, would not stand before this podium if the president did not support such a common sense measure.
Thank you. For my next question, I actually want to give a voice to the American people. I sourced a question from one of my listeners. Her name is Bryn. She is from Oregon. And she asked, what, if any, plans do you have, the administration, for the money that will be generated by tariffs imposed on foreign goods? How will the administration facilitate the development of American industries when many critical components, labor, parts, etc., are much cheaper and more feasible from foreign entities?
It's a great question from your listener, and I want to thank her for submitting it to you to ask. That's the part of the new media seat is so that everyday Americans across the country have a voice in this room. So thank you again for being here. Thanks for the question. The president's point about his trade and tariff agenda is to bolster our manufacturing industries here in our country, to bring down the cost of living here in our country, and to ensure that we are maintaining critical supply chains here in America. We cannot be dependent on countries like China if we want this country to be strong and wealthy. So the president wants to restore wealth to America by shoring up these jobs here at home, which will result in good paying jobs and higher wages for the American public. And so Americans should trust in that process. He effectively implemented tariffs in his first term while driving down the cost of living in this country, and that's what he's focused on doing again. Thank you.
As a follow-up question, could I just ask, are there any specific ideas that the administration has as to what that revenue, specific tariff revenue, will be used for?
Yes, to the heart of your question, the president has spoke about the trillions of dollars that he expects in revenue from tariffs and how we can use it to pay down our debt and to ensure that we are no longer faced with a crippling national debt in the trillions that is going to bankrupt our nation for future generations. So that money coming back home will make America in the green rather than in the red, which any small business owner across the country, I believe, can appreciate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Kelly.
Tomorrow there will be negotiations between the United States and Iran in Oman. What are the president's chief goals for that, and is he satisfied with how Iran is responding to this? They don't want direct face-to-face negotiations, instead sort of old-school shuttle diplomacy where they're in separate rooms and messages are passed back and forth. So is the president comfortable with the arrangement there, and what is the chief objective?
Well, I have spoken to both the president and also his national security team who will be engaged in these discussions. These will be direct talks with the Iranians, and I want to make that very clear. I also spoke to the president just last night about his goal when it comes to Iran, and he has reiterated repeatedly to all of you publicly and also privately to his team here at the White House, his ultimate goal and the ultimate objective is to ensure that Iran can never obtain a nuclear weapon. The president believes in diplomacy, direct talks, talking directly in the same room in order to achieve that goal. But he's made it very clear to the Iranians, and his national security team will as well, that all options are on the table, and Iran has a choice to make. You can agree to President Trump's demand, or there will be all hell to pay. And that's how the president feels. He feels very strongly about it.
And can you update us on Mr. Witkoff in Russia and what's happening with direct communications with Vladimir Putin?
I can confirm that Mr. Witkoff is in Russia to have direct communications with the Kremlin and with Vladimir Putin. This is another step in the negotiating process towards a ceasefire and an ultimate peace deal in Russia and Ukraine. As these negotiations are ongoing, I obviously will not get ahead of the president or his team, but I think the president has been quite clear that he's been continually frustrated with both sides of this conflict, and he wants to see this fighting end. He wants the war to end. We believe we have leverage in negotiating a deal, to a peace deal, and we're going to use that leverage. And the president is determined to see this through.
Sure. Thanks, Caroline. President Trump has said China wants to make a deal on tariffs. The president says he has a great relationship with Chinese President Xi. He's willing to speak with him directly. Why doesn't the president just pick up the phone and get this ball going?
All of the things the president just said are true. The president, as I said from the podium just a few days ago when I was up here, would be gracious if China intends to make a deal with the United States. If China continues to retaliate, it's not good for China. The United States of America is the strongest, best economy in the world, as evidenced by the more than 75 countries who have called the administration immediately to cut good deals. So the president wants to do what's right for the American people. He wants to see fair trade practices around the globe, and that's his intention and his goal.
So is he waiting for China to make the first move here?
I'm not going to comment on communications that are happening or may not be happening, or either way. We'll leave it to our national security team to get these discussions underway. And as always, in the effort of transparency, we will provide updates moving forward. But the president has made it very clear he's open to a deal with China.
Why is he optimistic that China's going to make a deal or wants to make a deal? If they're not talking, where's that optimism come from?
He's optimistic.
Hey, why would any of our allies work with us to isolate China in a trade war if we're treating friend and foe alike?
You'll have to talk to our allies who are reaching out to us. The phones are ringing off of the hooks. They've made it very clear they need the United States of America. They need our markets. They need our consumer base. You saw Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the Oval Office with the president saying that he was going to bring down all of their monetary tariffs and their non-monetary tariff trade barriers as well. We've heard from South Korea. We've heard from Japan. The president has spoken to Vietnam. We have Italy coming to the White House next week. There's a reason for that, Sean, and it's because they need the United States of America and our business model and our markets to survive, and the president is using that leverage to our advantage. Michael.
Hey, thank you, Caroline. Two-part question on China. Beijing says it will simply ignore any further tariff escalations from the U.S. Does President Trump see this as China backing down? And as a follow-up to that, what do you say to people like Shark Tank's Kevin O'Leary who say, you guys simply haven't tariffed China enough?
Look, the tariff rate on China remains where it was yesterday, at the 145% level. The president made it very clear when the United States is punched, he will punch back harder. And he hopes to make a deal that benefits the American worker and our companies that have been ripped off for far too long. And he's finally taking bold and courageous action to do that. You know, taking on China is, in the terms of trade and tariffs, is something that both Democrats and Republicans alike have spoken about for decades. President Trump is finally doing it.
Caroline, real quick, the president of El Salvador is coming to the White House on Monday. Does President Trump want him to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia with him?
The Supreme Court made their ruling last night very clear that it's the administration's responsibility to facilitate the return, not to effectuate the return. I believe the Department of Justice just filed another brief in the lower court. I would defer you to that for any updates. But as you mentioned, President Bukele will be here at the White House on Monday to talk about the cooperation that is at an all-time high. And we very much appreciate President Bukele and El Salvador's cooperation and the repatriation of El Salvadorian gang members who the previous administration allowed to infiltrate our country. Sure.
Thank you very much, Caroline. The president spoke quite highly of the great relationship that he has with the Turkish president. We know that the president might be heading off to the Middle East very soon. Is he planning to meet with the Turkish president, either here in the White House or in Turkey? Any plans?
I don't have any details about the president's overseas trip other than to say he was surely going to Saudi Arabia. There could be more countries as part of that trip. We're working on the details, and as I've said repeatedly, we will provide the details of that trip as soon as possible.
A trip to Turkey, or his invitation to the Turkish president, is under consideration?
I'm not going to comment on the details of the trip, but once they're confirmed, I will certainly let you all know. Yes, Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. I'd like to ask you about presidential health and also about tariffs. On presidential health, are there plans for the president's physician to come here and take our questions? And also, President Trump repeatedly makes remarks about the former president's health. Is he considering using his executive powers to bring any greater transparency there?
As I have said, the president is undergoing his long-scheduled physical. It's a yearly physical that every president receives, and we will provide an update on that by the president's physician as soon as we possibly can.
And about the former president and transparency regarding his health, are there
Well, I can tell you there was certainly a lack of transparency from the former president, from the entire former administration, and frankly, a lot of people in this room when it came to the health and the competence of the former president of the United States, Joe Biden. There was one of the greatest cover-ups and frankly political scandals this nation has ever seen. It's been unraveled in some recent books that are being written by journalists who engaged in that cover-up and scandal, which is quite ironic. But this president is clearly committed to transparency. You in this room see him and hear from him on a daily basis. You in this room know from covering him, it's hard to keep up with him. He is a machine working around the clock every single day. And the physician, after today's physical, will provide an update on the report in the effort of transparency.
If I could ask about tariffs, there have been big swings this week in the Treasury bond yields. There's a theory that it might be because of China dumping these as leverage, driving up costs for U.S. loans like mortgages. Does the White House have evidence that this is in fact the result of Chinese dumping, and if so, is there a message on that?
Not to my knowledge, but I would check in with the Treasury Department on that. I can tell you, I know our Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, is keeping a very close eye on the bond market. He spoke about it at the White House this week, and I know he's keeping his eyes on it day to day. Ed.
Thanks. Thank you, Caroline. So the administration, I have an administration source who's telling me that we're weeks away from the first deal with the country over tariffs. Where is the administration? How soon can we see that? And what country is that first one?
I won't reveal or get ahead of our trade team as these negotiations are obviously ongoing, but I can tell you very good progress has been made. Jameson Greer was on television this morning and I spoke to him, and he confirmed that more than 15 offers are already on the table, which is remarkable in just a mere matter of days. And as I said earlier, we've heard from more than 75 countries around the world. This is a team effort. The president has a team of great, brilliant advisors who have been with him every step of the way, and all of them will be divvying up the workload. And I just want to give the president and his trade team credit for taking this on. This is a massive undertaking. There's no doubt about it. We take it very seriously. The president is determined to renegotiate global trade on behalf of American workers. And again, you've seen people on both sides of the aisles calling for this for years, but I think no other president lacked the courage or maybe the work ethic or the stamina to take on such a task. And I know there were some questions about the president's delayed departure earlier to Walter Reed. I'd like to address it was because he is working on this very issue, so he was running a bit behind this morning.
On the 90-day pause, is what would the president need to see in order to extend that 90-day pause for countries on tariffs?
Well, I think the president addressed this yesterday when he said he's hoping that there will be good deals made before the 90 days is up, and we will cut those deals as soon as we possibly can, country by country, tailor-made deals for each and every country as they all propose unique challenges and unique assets to each country, advantages rather, and when that 90-day mark hits, the president will make that decision then.
One more, if I could, on a different subject. So a bird earlier attacked my colleague Peter Doocy during a live shot at
I'm wondering
the White
if
House.
that's why Peter is absent from his seat. Is he doing okay?
He's recovering.
Has anyone checked on him?
He's recovering. Is anyone looking into that incident?
I could check in with GSA to see if anybody here is looking into it. I also understand there was a mouse in the briefing room earlier today, so I'm hoping somebody checked in on that, as I'm hoping it doesn't run up here and distract me. That would be a good way for all of you to distract me, actually, have a mouse come run up here. So I'll get an answer for you on that, out of respect for our good friend Peter. Jeff?
Why is American consumer confidence so low?
Look, I think there's a great optimism in this economy, great optimism for the American people, a lot of reason for people to feel optimistic. The president is, as I just said, trying to renegotiate the global trade agenda that has ripped off the American people for far too long. As he said, this is going to be a period of transition. He wants consumers to trust in him, and they should trust in him. Look at what he did in his first term. And I just want to reiterate all of the reasons to be confident since you asked, Jeff. For those watching at home, yesterday the CPI report, inflation declined massively. Consumer prices are dropping for the first time in years. Energy prices are down. In fact, oil prices are down 20% since this president took office. Wholesale prices fell again. There have been trillions of dollars in investments into this country. Every day the president is signing executive orders to cut regulation, especially when it comes to Environmental Protection Agency, our energy industry. That's going to unleash the economic boom in this country that we saw in the president's first term. So trust in President Trump. He knows what he's doing. This is a proven economic formula.
What is he asking of Americans at this time? He talked about transition costs, transition problems. Is he asking something specific specific for Americans to do?
No, I think the president is asking for Americans trust in Trump, as I just said, trust in his economic agenda and formula. It's a proven formula that works. And by the way, clearly the American people do in fact trust him because they did just overwhelmingly elect him to this office. Jennifer.
Is he going, I'm asking about the physical, is he undergoing any general anesthesia? And can you outline any of the other tests that he's doing today?
He is not. He is undergoing quite a few tests, imaging. Again, it's a it's a yearly physical, so there's quite a lot that goes into it to make sure the president is accomplishing all of his goals, and we will provide a readout of that as soon as we can.
And will you be committed to releasing all of the results, as many of the results as possible?
Of course, yes. The president's physician will do that. I spoke with him this morning.
Sure. Will you guys also consider releasing the president's fitness plan? He actually looks healthier than ever before. Healthier than he did 8 years ago, and I'm sure everybody in this room could agree. Is he working out with Bobby Kennedy? And is he eating less McDonald's?
I can confirm the president is in very good shape, as you see, on a near daily basis here. And in that vein, thank God it's Friday. It's been a very long and busy week here at the White House. We will see you all on Monday, and we will release the results of that report as soon as we can. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Have a great week.
I'm going to apologize to y'all because that was flipping useless. We don't have a media. There is no media at this point. They're talking about birds flying around Peter Doocy's head. They're talking about mice running through the White House. I don't know. Did anything come out yesterday about the Russian hoax? Anything come out from Tulsi Gabbard about the election machines? Nothing? Nothing else to talk about? Wow. That should be on a loop somewhere so people realize our media is done. They are completely done. That was probably, and I'm going to apologize, that was probably one of the most useless press conferences I've ever seen. And I'm not saying anything negative about Karoline Leavitt, because I'm sure she was prepared, and then she realized it's Friday. Y'all have obviously all checked out. None of you really care about what Americans actually care about. You're asking me stupid questions. I've already gone through the people in the front because Caitlin's not here and Doocy's not here, so the whole second string is here. Nobody gives a crap. They all checked out for the weekend. It's 1:30, and they all said, see, we're done. Executive order. What did he sign? Like 8 executive orders 2 days ago. It was bam, bam, bam. No questions? As she said, he answered 100 questions during the cabinet meeting. They went around the room. Pam Bondi, RFK Jr., everybody had something to say. No follow-up on any of that? Pam Bondi says she arrested another Tesla terrorist. Nope, no questions. And I'm thinking she must feel at this point she's got these people. You people got nothing. I don't even know if I need to bring any notes anymore because you're not going to say anything. She now knows. If she didn't know beforehand, she now knows y'all got nothing. And so I can just come in here and you're going to ask me the same thing over and over. You notice nothing came up about the stock market. Nope. Nothing. No, nothing at all. By the way, when's the last time any of these people have asked about Ukraine? Who? So Ukraine? Oh. Elon Musk finds gazillion secret social security numbers that go to nowhere. Nope. No questions? Nothing? Okay. The labor secretary finds out that 115-year-old people are getting paid unemployment. Any questions? Nope. Nothing. They don't want me in that room. Excuse me, since they got nothing to ask you about, can we talk? Karoline, you and me, can we talk? Because these people got nothing. So let's talk about these, fake Social Security numbers. Can we deal on that? Oh, and my follow-up question. Can we talk about, the dead people and the people yet to be born getting unemployment insurance? Can we talk about that? Wow. Yeah, if she watches my show, she's probably like, no, don't bring him in here because the rest of them are going to be pissed. They're going to chase him around with pitchforks and torches because I wouldn't even be able to control myself. Because if I heard someone, I'm like, did you just say that? Did you just ask that question? You're a grown-ass adult. You've been in the media for 20 years, and that's the question you asked her. And I go, please escort Mr. Cunningham out. He's losing it. I can't help it. These people. How about having a second press conference? How about you have one for 30 minutes with these idiots, and then have a second press conference with people who actually want to ask real flipping questions? Because I'm pretty sure the ratings on the second press conference are going to really exceed the first conference because these people ain't got nothing to ask you. Speaking of ratings, thank you. Many of you guys have been asking. I saw in the chat. Sometimes I read chats that do, make me feel a certain way. And I was posting, hey, listen, today I was so-and-so. Today my rating was so-and-so. And I said about a month ago, like, I want to really, really take hold of the weekend numbers because obviously during the week we got a lot of big names in there, and on the weekends those guys take off. So right now during the week we're probably anywhere between 15 and 25 depending on if anything happens. If anything happens like tornadoes, all the weather channels end up being like there's a whole bunch of them that come in, and then whatever Rumble's doing with the guys in that thing, never mind. But you know what I'm talking about. They always show up there, which is probably why I'm starting to push Rumble a little bit more. But we'll see how that goes. But on the weekends, it's a free lane out there. So I'm always, literally always in the top 10 on the weekends. Always. If I do a show on Sunday. If we do Saturday and Sunday, we are going to fall in the top 10 somewhere. And then usually somewhere, once in a while, I'll be in the top 3. I was number 1 on a Sunday. I was number 1 until about 9 o'clock, and one of the guys went live at 9 o'clock, and he pushed me out of number 1, and I ended up being number 2. So thank you guys for tuning in on the weekends. I love it. It's absolutely phenomenal. And you guys come here, unlike some other shows, and you're here for 2 and 3.5 hours, and I absolutely love it, and I thank you. And what's funny? I'm interested in seeing what happens next Thursday night. When we do prayer night next Thursday night, and I'm going to be promoting that heavily because I want a lot of people to come in and let's get together and pray. I want to know how that's going to chart. That's going to be really, really interesting. All right, so it is time for me to talk to you about Patriot Addict and the Trump knife. And I hate reading this script because I think I do a better job than the script. So today, I'm not even going to look over here and read the script. So there. Hope you guys don't get pissed off at me. Not you people. I'm talking about Patriot Addict because that's lame. I can't just keep saying blah, 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 blah. I'm going to talk to you about this knife right here. Here is the QR code. If you want to order the red Patriot, red knife, Trump knife, here it is. From Patriot Addict, the red Trump knife. If you want to order this, go ahead and click the QR code right over here, and they'll send it to you absolutely free. The knife retails for $70. All you got to do is cover shipping at $13.99. Many people here in our audience, our community, have purchased this knife, and they love it. So now this is where I go into the actual Vanna White whole thing. It's Friday, so I can take some time and do this. This is the knife. It is not, somebody told me it's not a switchblade, but it does have a quick release to it. It's got some good weight, and that matters to me because if you're going to use a knife, you're going to use it to do whatever you need to do. You don't want some flimsy knife. It's not going to bend on you, not going to break, so it's there. It's quite sharp. You can obviously keep it sharp. What's it say here? Patriot Addict on the label. As I've shown you, it has a blade inside right in there, so you could cut a seat belt or a piece of rope or fishing line or something, and it has a ability to poke and break a window should you need to get out of a car. for some reason. Hopefully not to get into a car or a Tesla, but it's on the outside. Boom, you can pop that. It's got some decent size. My hands are rather large. And you get an idea how long. It's I'd say about a good 10 inches in terms of how long that knife, between the blade and the handle are. You can go ahead and get this for $13.99 for shipping. The knife is free. Don't cut yourself. You can go to the QR code right here and do it, or you can go to berryknife.com. Berryknife.com. Go ahead and get them. They're selling very fast. I don't know how many they have. You don't want to be the person who doesn't have one when they're done. So please go ahead and go to berryknife.com. They are a big supporter of the channel. You scan the QR code, you can get it free right over here. And I would greatly appreciate it because they are helping us out tremendously. That being said, I'll be right back.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, everybody, we are back, and I'm going to continue with my pre-show, which I didn't get to finish because of the press conference. I love what Ronaldo says here. I never realized that I'm 100% overqualified to be a White House reporter. Yes, you are finding out now that just you, me, anybody else who has an actual question is 100% more qualified than most of the people in that room. It is a sad, sad state of affairs. And I say that with complete confidence. These people have either been told or they don't know what real Americans want to hear. And basically that is a great segue into the rest of my show here, because they really don't know. Listen.
Need to look back. Because last time I checked, there were 13 families who lost their loved ones at the Abbey Gate, and we had a president who was checked out. They deserve answers, and we need to look forward and make sure this never happens again. I'll never forget the Carl Bernstein soundbite where he said close friends, people who love Joe Biden, saw many episodes, 15 to 20 with him. So much so they would go to Ron Klain, and they talked about one fundraiser where the man literally stiffed up, and in Carl Bernstein's words, they thought he had a type of rigor mortis. Rigor mortis, that's what he said. This needs to be investigated. The fervency for January 6th on the left, I want to see that on the right. This was a massive cover-up, and this investigation needs to start and not end until 4 years from now.
Peter Navarro, Steve Bannon, they were arrested. They were thrown in jail for not complying with congressional subpoenas. If Biden's doctor doesn't comply, should he get thrown in jail too?
They set the precedent. It should absolutely be looked at for prosecution the exact same way as the other two individuals you named. Kevin O'Connor told the New York Post that Joe Biden was excellent 4 days before Joe Biden dropped out. Kevin O'Connor said the man did not need a cognitive test to the New York Post after the Robert Hur report, who sat across from him and saw all sorts of frailties. Kevin O'Connor said it was normal that the Parkinson's doctor came to the White House 8 times. He only saw Biden 3 or 4 of those times. Kevin O'Connor has a lot of questions to answer. He needs to go before Congress, and if he doesn't do so willingly, Well, they set a precedent for what happens to you.
Would that be medical malpractice?
Yeah, no, I'm done with this. I am done with congressional hearings. I am done with this dog and pony show. It's time for the Trump administration to take this stuff by the by the horns. Take this bull by the horns. Tell Pam Bondi, one of the U.S. attorneys, somebody, go directly to legal proceedings. I don't care about them questioning people in some sort of panel where you get 5 minutes. No. I don't want the 5-minute go around, merry-go-round. Don't want that. All right, so if this auto pen stuff is proven to be BS, there's a lot of people who are going to have to lawyer up. So let's go right to an actual legal investigation. You guys understand the difference between a legal investigation and this dog and pony stuff that they keep saying, we're going to have a hearing. No. I don't want your hearing. I want this guy deposed. I want him to put his hand on a Bible and sit there under oath and ask questions from a U.S. attorney. I want this person, I want this person, I want this person. You should all feel the same. What first person to bring in the guy who wrote the first report, special agent or special counsel, her. Tell us what made you write in that report that you said this guy couldn't be prosecuted because he was bat poop crazy. What did you see? When did you see it? What questions did you ask? That's my dog. Ooh. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back because that doesn't sound good at all. It sounds like she may have fell. I'll be right back. Normally I wouldn't do this, but that didn't sound good. I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I would never do that. There's only two things that would cause me to do that. My dog's crying or the 911 text from the wife. And what happened, the explanation, she was whining. I didn't know that Robin was stepping out the house. When Robin leaves and she doesn't know where I am, she cries. She's a big baby. She's a big baby. And she's a little baby. All right, so you're okay now? You're all right? All right. So she was whining like she fell off a chair or something, but Robin just left the house. So I'm going to hold her for a second. Hope you guys don't mind. It is a Friday after all. But anyway. All right. So what I was saying was, I don't want to see a congressional hearing. I think congressional hearings are a waste of time. I think you are fed up with congressional hearings at this point. Lily, you're fed up with them too, aren't you? Yeah. I want to see legal proceedings. I want to see people under oath. I want to hear questions asked. I want to know who knew what, when they knew it, and on top of it all, it's under oath with a lawyer, a prosecutor, not some congressperson. I'm sorry, Jim Jordan. I love you, but your hearings don't mean crap. I don't want to hear every 5 minutes it switches from one person to the other. I want someone sitting in front of a prosecutor and asking questions for hours. A true deposition. You done? You done crying? All right, let's continue. She's going to go hang out now. Oh, you done? Oh, bye-bye.
If you're injecting the commander-in-chief with all kinds of drugs, and we're not saying that he did that, but if you're prescribing him medications, if you're trying to keep him above water, if you're bringing in specialists to see if he has brain decay, and then you're going out and lying to the whole public, lying to the whole world, while the border's broken, while he's spending $1 gazillion, people have been brought up on charges for less than that in the private sector.
You have a special solemn duty as the White House doctor. Ask Ronnie Jackson. He served under 3 different administrations. to come forward and give the American people accurate, truthful information. I just saw Trump just put out a tweet that he's about to go over and have his physical, and he's like, it's something that has to be done. He's transparent. He's described for us his cognitive test he went through. Now,
don't be surprised. When I heard that he posted that he's going to go do his physical today at Walter Reed Hospital, my immediate thought, I want if any of you people have thought the same thing. Here's what my thought was, and I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. I really think this. I thought to myself, when he goes and gets his physical, which, by the way, you know he's already had one, right? Because I'm sure he's had one before he took office. Let's say President Trump had a physical because as he was going to run for the campaign, and he got shot in the head. So they probably put him through all kinds of tests to make sure he's okay. Right? Can we all agree on that? You don't get released from a hospital after getting shot in the head without them checking your noggin. So we already know he's gone under extensive tests. We can see he's lost weight. Somebody was advising him, slim down, bro. Slim it down. We need you around here. They've already checked his heart rate. They've done his BP. He already knows. So I'm thinking this one is a dog and pony show. This one is, I got to go to Walter Reed, winkety wink, and we're going to do a physical. Yeah, take the blood, do whatever you need to do. I already know the results. I got some of the best surgeons and doctors in Palm Beach County up in here. They come to Mar-a-Lago. I've got a medical wing in Mar-a-Lago, so I'm sure they've already given it to him. So Barry, what are you getting at? It's a sandbag. It's a trap for the media. Because they're salivating. They can't wait to get a hold of this medical report. Oh, Trump's got, and then he's going to go, it's time for us to talk about Joe Biden. Because this auto pen stuff, you can see, here's my EKG, here's my brain thing, all this stuff. I'm good. Let's look at his stuff. We need to find out what was going on. And the only way that they can prove that Biden didn't do the auto pen was either to bring back somebody who actually was using it or to depose him to find out that his brain was fried and that he couldn't have been doing all these different things. You watch everything this man does, every timing of what this man does isn't by chance. One of the things as a Trump supporter, you have now got to believe, and you're watching the entire war room and all this stuff take place. You can see it all taking place. Excuse me, sir. Yeah, cue the annual physical. We're good for the annual physical. Let's go ahead and cue that. It's part of the plan. Call me crazy. Call me crazy for being a Trump supporter, but I've watched this guy just do these things just like this and clockwork all the way through. You've watched it. So don't tell me, Barry could be wrong. Watch what happens next week. He's going to go today, then he's heading down here to Mar-a-Lago at Palm Beach. Probably going to check out what happened with the plane crash here in Boca. And then they're all going to come running in Monday. Hey, we need to get a copy of this. We need a copy. We need to find out everything's okay. Okay. You want my medical stuff. Yeah. Good. And you see it. No, here. Now let's talk about that other guy. All right? Yeah, let's do that.
In vivid detail multiple times. Yes, you need to be transparent and truthful. And I have real questions, no evidence, but real questions based on what we've seen that Kevin O'Connor needs to answer.
I can't wait for the results of Trump's physical. 6'5" and 185.
My response is,
it's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. The guy, there's no reason. Oh, his annual physical is due today. Says who? Why would you? Oh, it just popped up. He got an alert on his cell phone. Oh, I need to go to Walter Reed to take a physical. Believe that. Believe that. No,
Chuck Schumer's lying again when it comes to actual voting policy to protect the franchise for the American people. Number one, there's this thing called Real ID, which every state in the country now complies with, which actually protects women who go through the process of changing their name. So Chuck Schumer's lying and he's gaslighting. People need to remember that.
No, he's not gaslighting, bro. I can't wait to get Byron Donalds on the show. Wink, wink, Ashley. Wink, wink. I can't wait to get Byron Donalds on the show. But in any event, he's not gaslighting. This is pure MK Ultra stupidity, complete brainwashing. Women can't get IDs. Are you serious? And you can always tell when there's some sort of plan afoot by the Democrats. You know why? Because they all say the exact same thing. They get the memo, talk about this. And then the other thing they're going to be talking about is Trump's, his physical and mental abilities. That's the other thing is going to start coming out. Watch. They can't help themselves. They have their talking points, and then they try to execute. And if they can't find one that sticks, they just keep going until they find one.
I believe it was 2022. You had Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, who were up in arms when Georgia changed their voting laws, rightly, mind you, and they followed the Florida model when it came to election law. And they went down to Georgia calling it Jim Crow 2.0, and they were lying because the facts were more black people in Georgia voted in the midterm elections than in the history of the state of Georgia. So once again, the Democrats are gaslighting. They are lying. They should be joining us to protect the franchise of voting in the United States of America. One thing I'll add is we've had more than 30 million people come into our country illegally. We've already seen through the work of Doge that they have had access to register into all kind of programs. So all we're saying is proof of citizenship to make sure you're voting in American elections. It's this common sense stuff. Once again, the Democrats simply are not serious. They would prefer to gaslight than do what's right on behalf of the American people.
But it's not gaslighting. I guess you can call it whatever you want. MK Ultra, gaslighting, brainwashing. Maybe they don't even have to at this point. Maybe at this point they have completely destroyed the ability for Democrat people in their audience to reason. Things just don't go. The elevators just don't go to the top. These people just have disconnected, and anything associated with Trump, they will hate. That's it. They don't care. Like when I was talking to Michael Schwartz earlier, hey, if you could cure brain cancer, it doesn't matter. Should have cured it faster. Doesn't matter. 21%. I want you to remember that. 21%. Over and over and over with these people. They've got no place to go. They're just circling the bull. So when I come back, we're going to talk about Miss Jasmine Crockett. If you're still tossing and turning all night and feeling edgy during the day, let me tell you about CBD from CB Distillery. Millions are turning to their CBD for relief because it actually works. In fact, over 90% of customers report better sleep with CBD. And it's not just sleep. CB Distillery offers targeted formulations for just about everything. Sleep, stress, mood, focus, pain, even after, 3 hours of sitting in a chair in front of a camera, and even after exercise. They even have CBD for pets. And it's all made with the highest quality, clean ingredients. No fillers, just premium CBD. Now, guess what? I personally like the pain stick. The CBD balm works wonders for my bad knees and even my aching back from sitting in this chair. And with over 2 million satisfied customers and a 100% money-back guarantee, CB Distillery is the source to trust. If you're struggling with sleep, stress, or other health concerns and haven't found relief, make the change like millions are doing and go to CBD from CB Distillery. And for a limited time, you can save 25% off your entire purchase. Visit CB Distillery and use promo code BARRY. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code BARRY. Specific product availability depends on individual state regulations. And let me just tell you, there's a lot of misconceptions about CBD oil and balms, and you don't get high. Although it's made from cannabis, you don't get high. Your dog ain't gonna get high. It's not meant to be that way. So I want to let you guys know tomorrow, I've got an interview that I'm filming today, and that interview that I'm filming today is with a congressional candidate, and this congressional candidate is going to be running up against this nut.
Questioning his mental acuity or fitness to serve is beyond wild to me, right? Like the fact that they sat around, called Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe Biden, and as I said before, at least you could sleep at night because you didn't have to worry about your 401k disappearing overnight. You didn't have to worry about these allegations of fake invasions. You didn't have to worry about the cost of food just skyrocketing or skyrocketing costs of all of your electronics. You know, the fact that Apple was flying in planes of iPhones before the tariffs hit, like this is crazy work for no reason. So, you know, I just hope that people remember, because seemingly they got amnesia the first time. And so you've got opportunities to vote. And I will tell you that every single special election we've had, Democrats are swinging no less than 15 points. But honestly, we should be swinging 30 and 40 points because of the level of incompetence and harm that this administration is bringing upon all of us. You mentioned
Sheldon Daniels. I'm doing an interview with him today at 4 o'clock. We're going to tape that, and I'm going to show it as part of tomorrow's show. Is running against that idiot. And again, I guess the theme of today, the word of the day, if we were Sesame Street, is liars, is gaslighting, MK Ultra. She actually just said all of that on Chris Hayes' show, and he sat there just like a ventriloquist dummy nodding when she said we didn't have high gas prices and high gas grocery prices, and we didn't have all this stuff when Biden was president. Huh? Hey, let me just tell you, I don't know if you've seen any economic charts, but when people show that gas prices are down, they're referring to when your boy was the president. When they're showing eggs are down, they're referring to when your boy was president. They're hoping, she said, we must have short memories? Oh my God, Democrats must have no memories. As I've mentioned many times, the contrast at this point is you can't have a better contrast. Everything is completely better and different. I mean, I haven't seen anything at this point, including the stock market, even with its volatility, that shows more promise for America. This guy was a walking drool cup. He was, and Kamala Harris was one heartbeat away from being president. God forbid something would happen to President Trump. I feel very confident that J.D. Vance would do a great job. Can you imagine if Kamala Harris had become president and these people have the audacity to walk out there and question President Trump's health? Well, anyway, Sheldon Daniels is running up against her. I'm, you know, Sheldon is running against her. He's got a very uphill climb. He's got an uphill climb on 2 points. One, they are going to give her $1 gazillion to run against him. They're going to do everything to make sure that Sheldon Daniels is not competitive against Jasmine Crockett. That's the reason why they're giving her so much airtime right now. She is somebody they want in their political herd moving forward. The second thing that they're going to have a problem with is that there's going to be a lot of people, a whole lot of people in MAGA-land who are like, the Sheldon Daniels guy, he ain't it. We're not even going to come out and vote. So I'll tell you why when I interview him. And I'm going to ask the hard questions. You'll see it tomorrow. It is not going to be any kind of a softball interview because he needs to come clean about some things. If you're watching this right now, Sheldon, or you watch it later and you hear what I'm saying, you don't want to come on, well, then you need to call Ashley and say, hey, ixnay on the 4 o'clock thing. All right, so because there are some things in his past that we've dug into, and some of those things are going to require him to answer. If he expects MAGA to get behind him, he's going to have to answer these and have a good answer. Because otherwise, you're going to waste your time and money trying to compete against Jasmine Crockett. I'm just going to say that. I hope is it Sheldon? You guys are all telling me the same thing I said with Lara. I don't care. Yeah, Sheldon Daniels. Dallas Cowboy owner needs to give him lots of money. Jerry Jones, he's mad. Yeah, but see, I don't know. This is going to be a good. I don't often get a chance to break news. So this one might be something where we get to break a little bit of news, because there's no way that Jerry Jones or anybody else is going to get behind this guy until he proves he is someone that they need to get behind. And so at this point, there are some questions that have to be right off the bat. I'm going to tell him here, and you'll see it in the interview. My question will be, before we even start, we need to address a couple things. And depending on how you address these two things is going to depend how the rest of this interview is going to go. I'll say with a smile, but I'm being forceful. Yeah, Jasmine had a $100,000 donation from an old couple, and they knew nothing about it. Yeah, it's all fake. Fake. All right, so next piece here I've got is, so that's 4 o'clock today. It'll be part of tomorrow's show. Sheldon Daniels, I'm sure some of you guys have heard about him, but he's going to be Jasmine Crockett's opponent at this point. So let's go, Sheldon. I'm with you. You got to show everybody that you're deserving of their vote. Might as well start tomorrow. All right, let's talk about one of my favorites, Stephen Miller, giving Brianna from CNN the what for here.
Yesterday, and you mentioned again here, illegal immigrants who are getting child tax credits. Are you looking for that information in the IRS data?
Anytime a crime is committed, of course there should be an investigation. Is it your position that if somebody who is
Stephen,
here
are you looking for that
is stealing
information in the
taxpayer
IRS
dollars?
data?
Don't you love how they interrupt when they don't like what the guy's going to say? They immediately interrupt him.
The federal government will find every illegal alien who is stealing American taxpayer dollars, and that is what Americans expect
find that
to happen.
in the IRS
I don't
data
even
and
fathom
share that
the
with
premise
law
of your question.
enforcement? It's a simple question. Will you
Anyone
find that
who's-
information in the IRS data and share that with law enforcement?
If IRS investigators find illegal aliens stealing taxpayer money, of course they'll be referred to ICE. Of course they'll be referred to Homeland Security investigations. Of course they will be. Surely your position is not that we should let illegal aliens steal taxpayer dollars. Again, you want to talk about something to be upset about, that's it. What do you think? The millions of illegal aliens who've also stolen Social Security. Illegal aliens in mass have fake Social Security numbers. They have fake identities. Those are felonies. Why should there be an entire class in this country that is immunized from criminal prosecution and arrest for committing felonies? Felony theft of taxpayer information, felony theft of Social Security, felony theft of identity. These are all crimes. And yes, they will be investigated. Yes, they will be prosecuted. And yes, illegal aliens will be deported. And you know what happens when those deportations occur?
Just very quickly.
I love when they go just very quickly, because I got to get out of this interview. I can't talk to you anymore. Because the people in my ear are telling me, bail, ixnay, get away, go, run, do whatever you need to do. Why would you bring this guy on your show? I mean, I'm not talking about me, because I'd love to have Stephen Miller. Wink, wink, Ashley, Stephen Miller. But I've seen this woman look like she's sitting on a pine cone just one too many times. And I just wonder if you're hostage. Blink twice, Brianna. Blink twice if you need help. Because you're trying to do battle with Stephen Miller, and you're obviously overmatched, and you can't control the interview, and you don't want to hear what he has to say. So if you know all that, why do you have him on?
Americans will get jobs, Americans will get benefits, Americans will get houses.
Stephen, if they got a credit, a child tax credit, and they will be referred, you're saying, to ICE for that, and you would expect deported for that? Is that the position of the administration?
Oh my God.
If it is found that a crime has been committed, they'll be referred. If it justifies a prosecution, they'll be prosecuted. If it justifies a deportation, they will be deported.
Why is that hard to understand? So if they have she doesn't even know what the hell she's talking about. let me just tell you what's going on. She is not a reporter. She's a talking head that's put out there because she looks cute, and she's got her nice blonde hair that's hanging over her earpiece, and she's being told, ask this, and she has no idea, no retort whatsoever, and then she's not getting the answer she wants, so she just keeps coming back. So if they get a child tax credit, they should be, put in jail. And he's like, the investigation will tell us whether this person should be or shouldn't be in jail. How am I supposed to know if a tax credit qualifies you for being put in jail or deported? The investigation tells you that, dummy.
Based on existing IRS protocols and procedures for criminal investigation and fraud.
All right,
the difference is that no one is given immunity anymore. No one is given permission to break the law anymore. Because this is not a country, this is not a sovereign territory, if illegal aliens can freely steal billions, with a B, billions of taxpayer dollars. And I would have to imagine that CNN, which is endlessly talks about the importance of democracy and the rule of law, would say that no class in this country should be above the law, least of all illegal aliens who've trespassed on our territory.
No, Stephen, I'm just asking, I wanted to get your position on some things. We're not taking a position here. We wanted to get some answers to some questions. There are so many questions that need to be answered.
It doesn't sound to me like you are, in fact,
you.
indifferent or unbiased on these questions, but thank you.
Stephen Miller, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
You really appreciate it, do you? I don't think you do. I think that you tried to check a box and your box got smashed. That box that you were trying to stick him into, he stepped all over it, took some box cutters and shredded it. And I just thank you, and we're going to move on here, okay? Wow. Whoever it was that said it earlier, that they think that they're 100% more qualified than people on television, yep, you are. It is unbelievable. I would love, yes, we had Laura Trump on yesterday. I would love to have people in the administration come on this show so they can ask questions that you want to hear. That people in America actually want to talk about. And you say something stupid like that? Hey, should people with child tax credits, or should they go to be deported? Huh? You understand how an investigation works, don't you? It doesn't sound like it, but maybe you should be made aware of how an investigation actually works. And you can see, I don't think she was feigning the look on her face. Maybe she is blinking twice. She didn't look comfortable. She knew it didn't make any sense. She's not that stupid. She goes, this is crazy. I'm sitting here asking a member of the presidential administration the most stupid questions I could possibly ask. Why don't you people let me ask the questions that people will want to tune into? How many people do you think in this country, seriously, are interested in understanding if somebody took a child tax credit, would they be investigated or put in to be deported? Doesn't make any sense. And so back to what Jasmine was saying about how the economy's so bad, it just seems like I'm going to play a piece for you that almost seems like the exact same piece I played for you yesterday. In fact, the guy in the piece goes, hey, this is pretty much dovetails off to what I told you yesterday.
Breaking moments ago, new data shows wholesale prices easing this month. Matt Egan is joining us now to kind of walk us through this new information. So what are we finding out?
Well, Jessica, this is the second day in a row we're getting some encouraging news.
See, I'm glad he prefaced it because I didn't want you to think, Barry, we just watched this yesterday. What are you doing, bro? It's the same. No, second day in a row, more good data. Yep, more good data from the Trump administration.
On the cost of living, the one catch, and it is a big one, is that it does not fully capture the impact of the trade war, right? This is measuring prices in March before the full impact of all of the tariff increases. Well, let me run you through the numbers first. So we're talking.
I was just checking my notes. Robin's not here. I can't ask her. But what the hell are you talking about? Impact at the grocery store and prices? I'm giving you props for doing your second report of the week about how things are getting better. And you're like, well, it doesn't measure the impact yet of all the, tariff prices. You think that's going to show up tomorrow? How about the economic impact of producer prices of American goods?
About the producer price index. This is wholesale inflation before it gets to all of us as consumers. And we were expecting an increase in prices month over month. We did not get that. We got a drop in prices. Look at this, 0.4%. That is much better than anticipated. The annual rate, we were anticipating around 3.3%. We did not get that. We got a much lower number, 2.7%. This is a deceleration. And when we look at the trend, we can see that things have certainly improved from a few years ago when it comes to inflation. This metric, graphic's not up right now, but this metric was around 11,
I want you to do it from memory.
12%. So it was really, really high. It has come down significantly. Now, why was this number better than expected? There's a few factors. One of them is energy, right? We've seen oil prices plunge. That has lowered the cost of energy when you think about gasoline and diesel. So that's one of the things. Of course, energy is not only getting cheaper for good reasons, some of that is recession fears. The other big factor here was egg prices, and I know that's something that everyone is following very closely. And we did see some good news on eggs. Egg prices, they fell month over month by 21% at the whole.
I thought Jasmine Crockett said just the opposite. Sheldon, when we do our interview, if you see this, here you go. You need to go out right away, take the piece I just played and do a contrast and go, she don't know what she's talking about. Democrats don't know what they're talking about. They hate it when these guys come on and give them actual data because, as I've said many a times, numbers don't lie, people do.
Wholesale level. That is very encouraging. That is a very big improvement from the month before. However, we're still looking at dramatic increases on an annual basis, 165%. And we learned yesterday that the cost of eggs in the supermarket for consumers is still at all-time high.
No, you didn't, depending on where you're looking, because down here they're down about 80%. In fact, what I'm going to be doing tomorrow as part of my show, which you guys have said you liked, the man on the street thing. I'm actually going to take a camera and I'm going to walk through the grocery store, and I'm going to go to the eggs, and I'm going to go to orange juice, and I'm going to go through the store and show you some of the prices that we're paying here in Boca Raton. Boca Raton, one of the most affluent places to live in the country, which obviously that means it's going to be more expensive for anything. So if things are cheaper in Boca, they're probably going to be cheaper in a lot of different places in this country. I'm going to try my best to expose the BS because every time I keep telling you, hey Robin, we going to the store? Yeah, okay. She just ran out. You heard the dog start barking. They're packed. They're always packed. Everything is packed. And I'm like, if everything's so bad, why is everything so packed? You would think you'd see people outside in the car contemplating before they went in. And don't come at me with, well, the people in Boca have money, so they're indifferent. I don't know about you, but I've met a lot of people who have money are probably some of the sharpest shoppers you'd ever want to see. Just because you have money don't mean you want to just needlessly spend money. So I'm going to show. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to show you the eggs, and then I'm going to show you this. If you want me to take any other products, I'll show you them as well so you can actually see for yourself. And I'll also start turning things over. You guys know I love those sugar-free Vortman cookies that I now find are from Canada. Now I'm going to have to I'll show you what I'm going to be doing. Hey, show me something from America. And I'll turn the label over. I'm going to do all that. I encourage you to do the same. Let me know what prices of eggs are in your area. You know what's really funny here in terms of gas prices? This is really, really funny. I'm going to show you the gas price right here in Boca. Then I'm going to drive literally 4 miles out of town, maybe 3 miles, and you're going to see, and I haven't seen it, I'm just going to tell you, the gas price that we pay here in Boca for high test is going to be close to $4 a gallon, which is good for here. And I'm going to drive over there. Maybe I'll drive in the hood. Because if I drive in the hood, that contrast will be even stronger. I'll probably go to Pompano. They got a nice hood in Pompano. And I bet you there's going to be a 70-cent difference. For no other reason. You live in the wrong zip code, so you're going to have to pay some more. Oh yeah, y'all up there in Boca. But what about right there? And then I'll go to Costco. And if you don't have a Costco membership, I don't have Costco as a sponsor. I don't know. But if you have a Costco membership, that's where you need to be buying some gas. Because even here in Boca, the Costco here, whoo boy, I bet you it'll be 70, 80 cents lower at Costco. No doubt for sure. It says here, $5 dozen at Aldi's, $9 everywhere else. And I actually have to go look at SP's, like bring Midas as a guard dog. I could bring, he's such a wuss. He let Lily kick him out of his bed. She was whining. She came in here, and she's taking over his bed. Just kicked him out. I don't know if you guys can see from the label here, but there's down here. There's a bed right there. There's another bed that was supposed to be hers, and she takes his and just kicks him out. So whatever. But yeah, that should be fun. I'll do that tomorrow, and we'll look at it. So let me go ahead and do this. Hey, if you'd like to join 15,000 plus fellow patriots on X in our private X/Twitter group, go to fanfareshop.org/group. Just put in that URL in your browser. It'll take you right to our private group on X. Love to see you there. Let's share some content. And if you'd like to win a hoodie, or rather if you'd like to enter to win a hoodie, go to Fanfare Shop. That reminds me, on Monday, we will start the t-shirt giveaway. We're going to give 5 away during the day show and 5 away during the night. You know what? I'm going to have to make it 6. Because here's what we're going to do. Because they're ladies and men's, the ladies are going to have the V-neck. We're going to give 3 men's and 3 ladies in each show. So it'll be a total of 12 in the first show. So Ashley, you better get ready. So we're going to give 3 men, 3 ladies, 3 men, and 3 ladies in each of the shows starting on, for Monday. I'm not going to give away 6 a day, but because it's been so long since we've given away stuff, it is now time to do so. So after I run this, I'm going to come back and take some comments and read the super chats. If someone would have told me that there are science-backed ingredients that could help me feel 15 years younger in a matter of months, I wouldn't have believed it. Then I tried Qualia Senolytic. I'm going to tell you a secret about me, but you probably know it already. I sit in this chair for sometimes up to 8 hours at a time, and I'm wondering how I can do it at my age. Well, have you heard about Senolytics? These groundbreaking ingredients discovered less than 10 years ago are revolutionizing healthy aging. They're truly enhancing our physical prime. Let's be honest, aging isn't kind to our energy and productivity levels. That's why I use, personally, Qualia Senolytic. Imagine feeling 15 years younger in just a few months. Here's the scoop. As we accumulate what's called senescent cells or zombie cells, these zombie cells cause aches, sluggish recovery, and that middle-age energy dip in the afternoon. Qualia Senolytic works like pruning dead leaves, removing these old zombie cells to let healthy ones thrive. And the best part, you only need to take it 2 days a month. If you've seen my previous ad for Qualia Senolytic, that was about a month ago. So if you've been taking it, you should be starting to feel better. Qualia Senolytic is a non-GMO, vegan, and gluten-free with ingredients that complement each other perfectly. Plus, there's a 100-day money-back guarantee. I've noticed higher energy levels, and you probably can tell as well with all the shows that I've been doing. And I feel more productive and enthusiastic in life. Beyond this chair, I do have a life outside my studio, and I couldn't be able to do it, wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't have supplements that make me feel younger and more energized. Experience the science of feeling younger yourself. Go to qualialife.com/Barry for up to 50% off your purchase and use code Barry for an additional 15% off. That's qualityoflife.com/Barry for an extra 15% off your purchase. Your older self will thank you. And thanks to Qualia for sponsoring this episode. All right, so we're going to move on. I got a comment here, kind of cracked me up, from Lisa M. It says, Barry giving us some homework to do. You see, that's why you're not an audience. You are a community. You just illustrated the difference. Let's compare notes. This isn't a one-way conversation. It is a dialogue. We're going back, not a monologue, a dialogue, so we both can talk and enjoy some different things. Deborah Alexander, where'd that go, Deborah? You always bring a laugh to me. Calling out the fake media and blatant lies has become comical. The Democrats have slipped completely out of reality. Yes, they have. They are a joke at this point. Get more nitrous oxide in your bloodstream. You say that? Yeah, is that what you say? Wait a minute, what have I got here? Yeah. See, this isn't even a sponsor. And here's my nitrous right there. Yep, you're absolutely right. Get that nitrous oxide, especially guys. You're a little bit older, get some nitrous. Just say it. I'm just going to leave it at that. And that was, that must have been a guy. Icy Hot. Barry covered that 2 hours ago. What's that? Must have been the plane crash. Yeah, I'm going to drive by them, drive by there too. God bless those people. Barry, love your Maltese. I had one but died. Its passing really messed me up for a long time. Best lap dog in the world. This is our third. Our first one lasted 19 years. Our second one lasted nearly 18. And then she's a little pup. She's only like 6 or 7 months right now. And she's got some serious separation anxiety because when I have the door shut, she doesn't even know I'm here. I'll see what it is in Ohio when I cross the bridge. All right, yeah, go ahead and do that. Barry, did you hear about the plane crash in Boca this morning? No, it wasn't off of Here, I think I still have it here. Yeah, I covered that this morning yesterday when we started this whole thing. This morning, it's right by, not too far from where we live, right by Florida Atlantic University. Kind of morbid. Maybe I shouldn't go. I guess I can take pictures of the aftermath and show you guys like where it is. Maybe it's a good, might make for a good video for, the old GoPro. I haven't done a GoPro video in a while, so maybe I'll do that this afternoon. Drive over there. But this is what the gentleman was referring to. It was at the private executive airport in Boca Raton. Here's the video. It's not really much in the video. It just shows you the aftermath of what happened. Again, that's right by Florida Atlantic University, right by 95. It was... People passed. It sucks, and it sucks that it's so close to home. Exactly. Oh yeah, wow. Phone Widow says, I totally agree. Tired of congressional hearings. Not useless. Cancel them. Every time we cover one of those hearings, it's like people will be watching with me, and they're like, turn off the Democrats for 5 minutes. They're going to blah, 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 blah. Just make them sit and do a legal deposition. I don't sit them for the hours. Man. Let's see here. I'm only going to put this one up because it's actually a woman. Nitrous makes your soldiers stay at attention. What's in this thing? What actually is in it? I don't even know what's in it. I don't know. You get to be this age, you need all this stuff. You need Qualia. You need the CBD for the knee. You need the CBD for your back. I just want you guys to know, playing football, it sounded like fun. It was a lot of fun. Being a power lifter and lifting weights and being, buff and everything. And then you get older and like, ow, stuff hurts. Stuff hurts all over. And then, you go out with the grandkids and they're zippity doo-dah and all over the park and everything. Like, hold on, hold up. I'm gonna need to take a break here. Let's stop and have a drink or something, because the knees just don't do what they used to do. I mean, and I'm not playing in football anymore, so I'm not gonna get no new knee or anything like that. But it's crazy. NutriBullet saved my life. Yeah, that's pretty good. Magnesium for pain. Magnesium, yeah, that's good too. I just get a cortisone shot. I still, I'm not gonna read that. All the zombies in the Democrat Party better get stuff. Yeah, absolutely. When's the prayer meeting again? All right, so the prayer meeting is next Thursday at 7 o'clock. So, if you guys, no patience for any trolls. That will be a night. If you say something negative, you're gone. Not even gonna. Nope. Now the mods here to give you 3 chances. Hey, get your stuff together. Nope. You come into the prayer meeting and you give people a hard time. See ya. So don't come. Just telling you. If you don't want to enjoy prayer, if you don't want to pray for other people, if you don't want to see other people saved, because we will save some people. See, I'm not even qualified for that. And Ashley and the mods will tell you, it's like, oh my goodness, is this really happening? When I brought the pastors on and they have talked and they have asked people, and I'm like, what you're going to see next Thursday will blow you away. I don't care what church you've been to. I don't care where you go. In our little corner of the world, you will see more people saved than you will see in Easter Sunday in most churches across this country. I can say that right now because I've seen 100, 150 people accept Jesus as their Savior in our little videos. It's blown away. JJ, who will be joining me, who is one of my lawyers, who actually happens to be a pastor of his own church as well, he's like, I've never seen anything like this. I know. Number one, people need it. Number two, people want it. And, if it's not your cup of tea, be like the buffet, keep going. We'll be back with the politics, not going anywhere. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a MAGA. This one day, that one evening is going to be all about, it's Holy Thursday. So it's right before Good Friday and Easter. And so that's why we chose that day, because we know people are going to be really busy on Good Friday. And we know, Holy Saturday and Easter, don't want to get into mixing up anybody's schedule there. So we're going to do it on Holy Thursday at 7 p.m. And then, everybody's invited. We'll be giving out Bibles. We just got a new shipment of them here. So this is what I'm doing the rest of the afternoon. We're back. We had them on back order, and we finally got them. So if your name is on the list for a free Bible, Robin and I will be spending today. I don't want to pull it out and break it, but this is the new Bibles that we just got in, and so we're going to be getting those out to everybody who's on the list, and we're going to order some more, and we're just going to keep giving. That's what I do here. I give. I never ask for super chats. I never ask for donations. People obviously do that, and it's fantastic. But I just want people to know that as much as I can, we try to give back. You know what, Ashley? It's time for a trip. So okay, let me just take a minute. And you guys have been here 2.5 hours, so let me just tell you guys. I have been giving away, and last time we gave it away, might have been, I don't know, right before the election. But we're going to give away another trip for 2. Come down to Fort Lauderdale. We'll put you up in a hotel on the beach, have dinner with you one day, and then the rest of the time you can do whatever you want. We're going to pay for your flights. We're going to pay for your hotel, and we're going to pay for dinner when we see you. So you're going to get a free vacation solely because you watched this show. And trust me, it's a nice hotel, it's a nice restaurant, and it sits right on the beach. I mean, right on the beach. It's up in Del Rey. I don't put you in Fort Lauderdale because it's kind of busy down there. And so it's a very nice, quiet area, great hotel. let me see if I can even show you the hotel. We're putting it together. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. This is, let me bring it up on the screen here. Let me remove the comment. This is where you will be staying. It is a luxury oceanfront resort on the shores of Delray Beach. It's called the Opal Collection. And it's a beautiful hotel. There it is. That's the walkway to the beach right there. And we're going to be giving that away for you guys to come on down here. Or, depending on the time frame, we may do it for, no, we'll do it, we'll pick, oh, the other thing is you pick your date. So I don't pick the date. You say, listen, we're going to give you the hotel, we're going to give you the flights, we're going to have dinner. You tell us the date, and we'll go ahead and do that. So that's going to be coming up really, really soon. Let's see here. I wouldn't have any common sense you bring to the table. So Gina says she wouldn't have anyone to bring. Hey Gina, I'm pretty sure you tell someone you got a free vacation on the beach in South Florida, you're gonna have people want to come with you. If you don't have family members or something like that, yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll have funny. Do the Bibles have big lettering? I don't want to open it. I'm not sure. But if you need a big lettered one, when we tell you to go ahead and ask for one on Thursday, you just let me know. We can get you a big lettered one. How do you enter the vacation contest? That will be coming up on Monday as well. So Monday, we're kicking off a whole bunch of different stuff, a whole lot of different things, the new t-shirts, the vacation contest, which I actually just found out now because I just decided to do it. Because that's how it goes. We want to give away Bibles, we want to give away t-shirts, we want to get people on vacation, and then the next thing we're going to do is plan a get-together here in Boca where we can have, some hors d'oeuvres and some drinks if you happen to drink, or you can do like me and have a fake daiquiri, and we can just hang out in Meisner. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what Meisner is. Meisner, show you all this stuff. It's Friday, so I'm taking a little minute to just show you some different things. Meisner, where are the pictures? Where are the pictures? You can look up Meisner in Boca, but basically, I'm looking for all their pictures. I don't see their pictures on here. But you can look up Meisner, Mizner in Boca, and it's just like a walk around place. There's all kinds of restaurants that are there. My video I did the day of the protest was in Meisner, and so it's a very just nice open air. And we're gonna do that soon before it gets too hot, because once it gets hot down here, whew, boy, it's really hot. So we're gonna do that. Will the trip be a name drawing or it will be voted? Nope, it will be name drawing by random. So, yeah, you can do that. Do I need to re-enter? You do not need to re-enter for the trip. I mean, you do not need to re-enter for the t-shirts, but you would have to do a fresh entry for the trip. They're two different things. Esmeralda, I'm going to let you know on Monday all about that. Is the Bible the King James Version? Somebody asked earlier, is this large print? It is large print, and it is the ESV, English Standard Version. Big print, English Standard Version. Yes, it's got big print. Yes, it does. All right, so that's in a leather-bound ESV. All right, so let me go ahead and take some super chats, and let me do this and pull it. One last check. Let me check what the Dow is doing. Let me refresh. What are we doing? The Dow is up 581. So we got a little over an hour, and it doesn't look like it's crashing. So we shall see what ends up happening for that. And let me just do this and get ready. I will not be doing an evening show today. I say that now, but Robin may tell me, yeah, I don't want to go to dinner. Who knows? If we go to dinner, then I won't be able to. But if I do, I will more than certainly let you guys know what we're doing. Friday, we kind of play things by ear. Going out to dinner tomorrow night, so. All right, here we go. Dems fight harder for him than any of our hostages. So what the heck did I just do? Hold on here. Hold on. Hey, let me shrink all this stuff. There it is. Okay, there it is. Dems fight harder for him than she's talking about the guy who got deported. Mama Mima, he's a citizen of El Salvador. Why would they return him under any circumstances? They're not. He's done. He's definitely going to be down there. Viking King, what's the chance the press right in front of her will ask any questions based on what she is delivering to them? We found out nothing. Barry, I'm on X every day fighting for the fanfare, truth, and love nationwide. Thank you. Very good, Mr. Anderson. Jim Stawicki, I listen but don't chat. You are awesome, Barry. Well, you just chatted. Thank you very much for your chat. Let's go hog wild. Pennsylvania coal-fired plant now retired to become massive gas-powered campus for AI and data centers. It's the new way. Rhonda McCarroll. Let's talk. Where's Rhonda? Rhonda McCarroll. I enjoy your show. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. 3540 crew. Can't wait for Barry to bring integrity to the White House and show these clowns how it's really done. It makes you wonder, are they told you can't ask these kind of questions? I'm sure Karoline Leavitt would appreciate real questions. Born on the 4th, MSM libs are bored. Their lies are so predictable. Demon of Cybertron, Barry Sheldon should just hire you as his advisor. I need this woman to get defeated and out of Texas. I hear you. Viking King, thank you. Hold on. Let me do this. Thank you, brother. Bible's on the way. And Britta Evans, same thing. Please use for Bibles. Thanks for all you do. Thank you very, very much for that. That's awesome. Absolutely. Bibles are coming. So again, if you want to join us next Thursday, you'll see the billboard that'll go up in advance. And also over the weekend, I'm going to try with all this to get our mailing list started so that we can do all those things correctly. And also, what else? Not next week. Yeah, that's about it right for next week. But no show tonight, but we will be doing one tomorrow and one on Sunday. So you guys have a great time tonight. I'm going to record the interview with Sheldon, but I'm not going to broadcast it until tomorrow. So that'll be part of tomorrow's show. And if you haven't seen the interview with Lara Trump, please, it's been posted. It is available for you to take a look at anytime you want. You don't have to sit through the entire 3-hour live show, but take a look. And then don't be surprised, I'll probably do maybe a video tonight. Not a live video. I'll probably post a couple excerpts tonight, depending on how things go. But in any event, thank you guys very much. Oh, we had one more. One more super chat came in from Mrs. D. I was lost when Bongino quit his show, but now I found you. You're my new show. Oh, there you go. Yeah, boy. Yeah, girl. Thank you very, very much. That really is a great send-off for today. The people coming from other channels looking for a home here. And just so you know, Mrs. D, it's not just me. As you see right now in the chat, the Fanfare family is truly that. It's only me. I'm only part of the experience here. You'll see everyone gets to know each other and they talk, and SV and the mods do so well with all the trolls. They get rid of them. They try to keep it healthy in here, and I try to do my best to foster that kind of environment all the time. And part of that, fostering that environment, is what I'm going to do right now. I bet you don't see this on any show. I'm pretty sure you don't. Mrs. D, I'm glad you're here, but I'm going to go to what we've deemed the after party. And the after party is just a 30-minute segment where people in the audience or in the community here can actually just talk to each other as I sign off. And by the way, I'm going to be changing the music and the scenery a little bit, but we'll see how that works. But Mrs. D, thank you for showing up. Everybody else, thank you. All the mods for everything you did. Have a great Friday evening.